What a day it's been already. What a last couple of days it has been here at Athletic Park. This place has been bumping 3 consecutive home games for the Medicine Hat Mavericks, and it ends tonight here against the Swift Current 57s, the third consecutive Eastern Division opponent that they will see, and the Mavericks not faring too well in those first two matchups, losing both to the Regina Red Sox and the Moose Jaw Miller Express, respectively. They've dropped their last 5 games coming into this one. They need to pick up some wins. They've fallen out of the playoff picture, and now they're playing catch-up as they chase down the Weyburn Beavers and the Regina Red Sox. For the Swift Current 57s, they're in the same spot. They're a little bit further back than the Mavericks, but they are still very much alive in the race, and they need a win against the divisional opponent today, and that would help their cause in their push for the playoffs. They've been out of it for a few years. They hope to get back to that point. So 2 teams that have been losing as of late, and they need wins bad. We'll see who gets the one in this game tonight here on Flow Sports. My name is Truman Bartman, alongside you, as always, for 57s and Mavericks here from Medicine Hat, and talked about how it hasn't been ideal for both of these teams, but there's still some season to go, and that's the important part. You got to keep your head up right about now. You know, tensions can be high, and it can be tense out there, but you just have to stick to your game and play the way that you know you can play if you're some of these players out there. Getting away from that, that's only going to hurt your cause. We'll see who can stick to their game plan better in today's game. And, of course, we'll have our starting lineups for tonight's game. And it's just a rumor for now, but I hear there are a lot of changes within the Mavs lineup tonight. So we'll see what those are and who has moved where for the 57s. A familiar look. Lots of big names in this lineup tonight that performed well in the first half of the season, and they hope to ramp it up in this back half. We'll get you to those in a moment, but first we'll send it to the break, and then we will be back with first pitch and everything else that you need for today's game. And here is a new look at this Mavericks offense. Lots of changes tonight. The same names, a different order. Carter Roth will lead off. I think this is only the second time that he's led off in the Mavs order this season. He'll be out at second base. Evan Morrison drops 1 spot down the lineup. He will be in center field once again. Nick Hill is over towards third base, and he'll play there again tonight. But he's batting third in the lineup, so a switch as he moves up from the 5 spot to the 3 spot. Frankie Giacalone down a spot. Now he'll bat in the cleanup role, playing first base. Johnny Volcano now up to the 5th spot in the lineup. He's over at shortstop. Eric Calder will do the DHing. Blake Dale still over in left field. Jaziel Grudelars. It's the third go-around in the catcher circuit for the Mavs, so Jaziel getting his turn behind the plate tonight, and Josh Stark will be over in right field. So no Adam Volcano in the lineup tonight. The Mavs lineup changing a bit in that right field spot. And for the Swift Current 57s, lots of veterans, at least from seasons past on their team, and they don't have a whole lot of those in general, but it starts off with a guy who knows Swift Current well. It's Hudson Unger who will lead off and play in center field. Zach Clow will DH and bat second. Jake Hiramoto, the first-time All-Star this year, and one of the best home run hitters in the WCBL, will play third base and bat third. Mace Wheeler, a reliable catcher behind the plate, will bat in the cleanup spot. Jake Steffes will bat fifth and play second base. Keegan Noller, another big-time home run hitter, will play first base and bat sixth. Chance Crawford will be in the seventh spot in right field. Adam Rowland over far towards his right-hand side, and I guess our left hand from broadcast angle, playing in left field. And Anthony Hector checks in at shortstop and will bat ninth. So now we'll toss it down to field level. We'll come back with our starting pitchers in today's game and take a look at what the 57s and Mavericks are all about. Tonight's starting pitcher for the Medicine Hat Mavericks will be Cody Myers, and he gets a chance to face some of his former friends and teammates on the Swift Current 57s. Not because he played there, but many went to the same college. So Myers, he's been looking for an opportunity to face off against Jake Steffs and, of course, Chance Crawford, and he gets both tonight. So it's finally, the stars are aligning, but the stars have not aligned recently for the Mavericks with that losing streak that they have been on. But Myers, he's had a really good WCBL campaign, a 1-1 record, a 4.28 ERA, 24 strikeouts. He might not blow you away with velocity, but he locates very well. He has a great mix of pitches, an off-speed set that is just perfect for the WCBL. He'll look to show that off tonight. So Myers getting the call for the Mavs in a must-win game. We said that a night ago against the Regina Red Sox. The Mavs fell in big fashion. I mean, they lost 9-2. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. It wasn't a good game, and I talked to head coach Ryan Reed. He was frustrated with his team's efforts, and he said for the first time he kind of let that show and really let that out towards his players, of course, in the most constructive way possible, but at the same time, he had to have an honest conversation about where the team is at, and the team has not been good enough so far, and I think that can be said for both groups. However, the other angle for the Swift Current 57s on their behalf is this was a team that was already out of the playoffs last year. They've surpassed their 2025 win total, and so that's a positive. And now they get into a year where they're actually competitive again, and they're right alongside that playoff line, and that's a positive. Coming into a game where they're still battling for something, that means probably more than the fact that, it hasn't been numbers-wise a year that they're in the playoffs right now or dominating in the Eastern Division. I think if you look at it from the glass half full perspective, the 57s will take where they are at, and we will see what they get against the Mavericks today. We've seen two different Mavericks teams at points in this year. We've seen a resilient team that can come back, an offense that is firing on all cylinders, and a pitching staff that can just chip away and log long innings. And that is a team that we haven't seen in a while. They've disappeared in many ways, and Swift Current is hoping that they don't revive themselves tonight. As Myers goes to work on the mound against Hudson Unger, the first batter for the 57s, as he sends this one skyward into left field, and Blake Dale is there for the first out. Way to keep your pitch count down, Cody Myers. 1 pitch, 1 out here for the Mavs as they start on the right foot. So the outfield still looking similar from center over to left, mentioning that Blake Dale and Evan Morrison are still out there, but those are not the first 2 batters in the lineup tonight. It's a big switch up for Medicine Hat. They have not looked this way batting-wise this year, and an important switch up for Ryan Reed. You need some momentum. You need to get a different look out there, and you need to be not predictable in some ways, and I think he's done that with the lineup he's rolled out tonight. There's a swing and a miss on the second offering from Myers, and it's 1-1 here to Zach Clow. Clow, the DH, a later addition to the 57s this year, but he's fit well in the top half of their order. They've got some mean bats and some good power, and Clow in the DH role will look to provide a bit of that today as well. Myers, second pitch is dropped by Jaziel Grudelars. Or second ball, rather. Third pitch of the at-bat here. Myers misses outside, and you can see maybe didn't get his footing correctly on the delivery. Cody Myers doesn't walk a lot of guys outside of 1 game against Okotoks. And there is a walk early on here to Zach Clow, who takes first base. Medicine Hat has not had trouble getting the first out in lots of games. It has been what has happened after. Quick out to begin the inning usually isn't something that the Mavs build on. A lot of the times then the other team feels the pressure to ramp things up, and then they're able to deliver a couple of blows, get on the base path, and create chaos. Clow, a long leadoff over at first base. Jake Hiramoto, the one-time All-Star, comes to the plate. Hiramoto, he could have been in the home run derby this year. The 57's electing to go with Keegan Noller. You only get 1 guy to go to the derby on your team, and it's unfortunate because Hiramoto is really the second best home run hitter in the WCBL. Myers will check over at first base. A good scoop up by another good power hitter, and Frankie Giacalone. Myers had trouble finding the zone here of late, and Hiramoto plops in a base hit, so there's 2 on now for the 57s, who look to get going in the first inning. The Mavericks playing from behind. If you peer over to your left, it's hard to see from our camera angle, but a group that is down and is on the Mavericks side, often they can feel the pressure, and it's something that's not positive for them. Is Cody Myers. Looks like he had trouble with his footing on a few pitches, and now he's going to get his cleats cleaned off, or at least corrected by Adam Volcano, who comes out to the mound. But you have to build confidence, and you can't get knocked down when you fall down in games, and I think the Mavericks are learning that. We'll see if they can put that to use if they do get down at all in this game. A quick tire change here as Adam Volcano comes off the field. I guess you could call that a pit stop in many ways. Of course, this isn't racing, but right now the 57s, they're looking to get right off the line and into this race. The thing that they're battling the most is the clock in a sense. Time is ticking down on this season, and as I mentioned before, they need to get back to winning ball games. First pitch here in the next at-bat against Mace Wheeler for Myers is a strike. Lefty-on-lefty matchup. You like this here for Cody Myers. Myers on the way. Wheeler into right field. It's down for a base hit. They're going to wave the runner around. Throw in is going to be blocked by Frankie Giacalone, but the first run of the ball game is in. And we could tell the same story that I told the last couple of games, the Mavericks giving up runs early, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. You've heard it all before. A chance to battle back, though, is, Medicine Hat down early. Can they prove that they can rally in this situation? It's not something that obviously they've wanted to make a habit of, but it has become a bad habit. Not being able to get out of the first inning, many of their pitchers, and Cody Myers now feeling some of that on the mound. Just 1 out, 2 runners still on. First pitch here to his buddy and friend, Jake Steffes, will fall for ball 1. Steffes waits on the second, and a ground ball just foul, and it'll be 1-1 now to Steffes. Keegan Noller waiting over on deck. You think back to earlier this year, it was a first-inning rally by the Swift Current 57s, capped off by a grand slam from Keegan Noller. It was actually a game that the Mavericks ended up winning, one of their few come-from-behind victories. Myers looking to frame that there was Grudelars. He doesn't get the call. It's not a big strike zone so far. It's not like Myers has been near it with some of his pitches. Myers hesitates, and that time he gets the call. It'll be 2-2 now to Steffes. Myers, quick back look over towards first base, and now he will chuck it there for Frankie Giacalone. That sun's starting to come out towards the left-hand side, and talked about the complications with the sun and what it does to the first baseman on any team. Tonight it's a little hazy in the air, so it's probably not as bad as at other points in the year. Runner going to go here. Ground ball over towards short. Volcano misses it, and it's in for a base hit, and another run comes in to score for the 57s. A throw to third, and the Mavericks all out of sorts again. It's yesterday's game, the day before's game, the last 5 games on replay here in the first inning. And Ryan Reed's already going to come out to the mound and talk with Cody Myers. And, I mean, this is hard to watch for the fans that are in attendance today. I mean, it's just a stark reminder of what happened in yesterday's game. And when you play from behind so much, of course you're going to lack confidence. You're going to lose more games than you win when you're playing down. That's just how it is. That's how it works regardless of what sport you're playing. Ryan Reed, an important talk with Cody Myers. As you can see, Reed clearing off the mound as well. Maybe getting out a little frustration with that cleat dig from Ryan Reed as he'll head back to the dugout. So still 2 on for the Swift Current 57s. They have a 2-0 lead, and they already have 3 hits in this game. Here comes Keegan Noller. He's figured it out before against the Medicine Hat Mavericks, and he looks to do it again. Myers, pitch over to Noller, and he fans it in for a base hit, so another run going to come across for the 57s. 4 hits in the first inning, and, you know, Cody Myers, you can just see the reaction on his face as he went to cover there. The 57's getting to his stuff so far. He isn't a guy that is going to blow you away. Talked about it. The velocity isn't as high as some. But when the trickery isn't there and his pitches aren't moving, that's where it makes it easier for opposing batters to get to him. I think that's what we're seeing here with the 57s. Myers. Pitch is going to miss for a ball. So the combination of starting out behind in counts for Myers, and then when he does get over the plate, ready to swing are the 57s. That's what's hurting him so far, and already action here in the Mavericks bullpen. Looks like Adam Volcano is setting up shop down on the far side. 1-1 here to another friend of Cody Myers and Chance Crawford. You know Myers wants this out more than some of the rest of the guys he'll face. Myers to Crawford, high pitch, ball 2. I mean, he's right around the zone, but also at the same time, I'm not sure what the zone is. It's very tight out there tonight. Now it's 3-1. Chance to load the bases here for the 57s in the first inning. Chance to go through their entire lineup as well, and a chance at the plate for Chance Crawford. Crawford fouls that one off with one hand, and now a full count situation for Myers. Quick first out, and ever since it has been tough sledding for Myers. You can see frantically getting down to the bullpen over there as Mavs bullpen catcher and affiliate player Ethan Chenard. He's getting into action, and he'll be ready to catch for Adam Volcano, who looks to be getting up. Myers swing and a miss, so he gets his friend in Crawford, and that is the second out of the top of the first. Now here comes Adam Rowland. Rowland earlier in the year pitched a couple of innings, but he's more known for what he can do with the bat. A lot of these 57 players can play on both sides of the ball, and that's because in the past couple of years they've been limited in how many guys they have at the very end of the year. Now, this group has stayed together for more parts of the season than some of the former 57s groups in 24 and, of course, 2025. And I think that's a promising thing, and it speaks to the character of their head coach in Jared Franklin. You think beyond that, their assistant coaches and maybe some of the guys they bring in, the culture that they're looking to build after, Joe Carnahan left, it kind of left this hole in their system, and Franklin is looking to replace that and build a new system for the 57s. Here's the 0-1 from Myers. Swing and a miss there from Rowland. He's quickly behind 0-2. Rowland, the Okotoks, Alberta product. And Okotoks, of course, home to the Dogs, one of the league's best teams right now. I think either of them or Moose Jaw, if you're splitting hairs, it'll be one of the two of them. Swinging a foul off here from Rowland. A very stationary approach. Grudelars give a soft toss back over towards Cody Myers. He needs to strand the next two runners. Once you get down by 4 or 5 runs in the early going, that is not a good sign going forward. Especially puts a lot of pressure on your bullpen and defense playing from behind. Not to mention your bats as well. Here's one up over the head of Johnny Volcano and in for a base hit, so a run should come in to score. It will, and I guess right on cue I say that, and then a run is scored. Maybe I should just stop talking. I know it's my job, but a bit of a jinx I feel like I am. So a word passed over from Adam Rowland, or rather the runner that came in to score, and Jake Steffes to Anthony Hector, the last batter in the lineup for the Swift Current 57s. There's a chance that Hudson Unger gets 2 at-bats in the first inning here. Already 5 hits for Swift Current. Myers, ground ball, fielded by Nick Hill. Thought about going to second. Instead, he'll go to first, and that's out number 3. Swift Current, 5 hits, 4 runs. They have the lead through 1 here on the road as they look to get back in the playoff chase.
For more than 40 years, we've been there, helping Canadians find the extra space they need to grow and to create new memories. Sentinel Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
The Swift Current 57s will have the same guy that they had last time they were here on the mound. That is Riley Bester of Feather River College. Bester, an 0-1 record this year, 16.03 ERA, 8 strikeouts, 3 appearances here at Athletic Park, 2 where he has started. And last time it was probably not the best performance, but he got the job done. I got to say, the last 57s and Mavericks game was an absolute slop fest. If you missed that game for whatever reason, it was a game that you could have afforded to miss. A really hard watch, plenty of errors, hits that weren't even really hits. They were more flare-offs at times, and pitching that just was not low, was pitchers that just weren't finding the zone. Everything that can make you dread watching a ball game, that had a part in the last game and a long game as well. So you hope for a different result this time around for both these teams. They want to play a clean baseball, and that first inning was as clean as it comes for the 57. Some great hits into the right places, making good contact, barreling it up, and for Cody Myers, he just got barreled, as a lot of these pitchers have been saying nowadays to each other. So Carter Roth leading off. Does this set a different tone now for the Mavericks offensively? They trail. What can Roth do in his first plate appearance? Takes a first pitch ball here from Riley Bester. Roth feels like the perfect guy to put at the top of your order. A contact guy who can get on base and can run well. Second pitch is a strike to Roth. The only thing you can't afford to do here is, if you're the Mavericks, not saying you have to score, but a 1-2-3 inning would be decimating. Roth fouls that one aside as he spoils the pitch, and now it's 1-2. Mavericks have come out really aggressive when trailing behind in games, and that can sometimes be an okay approach depending on what pitcher you're facing, but most of the time that's not how you want to go about it. Here's Roth. Line drive over into left field, and it's down for a base hit, maybe more, as Roth's going to turn for two, and the ball got lodged in the side of the fence for a second. Roth has a double, a leadoff double at that, and the Mavericks have one on and some life offensively. Now it'll bring up Evan Morrison with Roth in play. So Carter Roth. There's been some tough games lately for Roth, but he gets put in the one spot, and he does what a one-hitter should do, or I guess they're expected to do, at least in the majors, and that's get on. And there's almost no one better than Carter Roth at getting in a rhythm and battling late in the count. First pitch here to Evan Morrison is for a ball. So Morrison in that one spot. He's played pretty well as of late, lots of hits, and he would love one of those here. It probably would score Roth from second. Bester. Here's a chopped ground ball. Spent a lot of time in the air, and a slip over at second base by Steffes. And so Morrison will reach. Roth will move to third, and that's ruled a hit by our official statsman, Frank Kalamatis. So the Mavericks have two on here. A really good response from a team that's down already by 4. So now up to the plate comes Nick Hill with 2 on. Carter Roth not far from scoring. Hill having a quick conversation with the home plate umpire, and looks like there's going to be an adjustment here, shoe-wise, by Jake Steffes at second base. You saw he didn't get his feet planted correctly, or they were almost planted too much. So while Steffes gets his cleats changed, talk a little more about Riley Bester. It hasn't been his best year, but he's played alongside a couple of high-end pitchers, Zachary DeSilva, who we haven't seen yet this year. He's a guy who's got a 4 ERA and has been really the ace of this rotation. And when you see one guy perform that well, like a DeSilva, then you come in, if you're Riley Bester, and you want to live up to what the standard has been set as by DeSilva. Bester hoping to get out of this inning, but it's been a tough start. This one's sent over towards center field, drifts all the way into right center. Roth is going to tag up, head home. The throw is cut off, and so it'll be the first run of the game for the Mavs in to score. A sacrifice fly from Nick Hill, and it's a 4-1 57's lead. Chipping away at the bigger number are the Mavs, and a good response here after giving up, obviously, the big inning, which they've been known to do throughout this year. 4 obviously not as bad as some of the innings we've seen. A couple 10 runs, I think an 11-run inning in there, 9 runs. That's kind of been prevalent. Now here comes Frankie Giacalone with 1 on. New spot in the lineup for Giacalone tonight, batting in the cleanup spot. Throw over towards first to check on Morrison. Noller gets a hand to it. Bester getting the first out of the inning, but it did cost him a run in the process. Pitch to Giacalone. He swings and hits this one into left field. It's down for a base hit. And now all the way around, charging in after a bloop over in left field is Evan Morrison. He's going to score. Wow, what a turn of events. Thought that was going to be played simply over there and left by Adam Rowland, and he had more trouble than it initially looked. So that's 2 plays over in left field that have not looked pretty for the 57s, and all the way to second base is Frankie Giacalone. So the extra base pretty much given by the misplay over by Rowland. Just wanted to make a note, Carter Roth, we'll talk about it more in the break, but a record-setting hit over at second base, and he is now first place in Mavericks history for most doubles in a season. Here's Johnny Volcano with one on. Volcano, a high bouncing ball towards Noller. He's going to flip to first base. Volcano down the line. They get him in time. And moving over is Frankie Giacalone. Volcano thought he was close on the play. Good flip by Noller at the last second. That ball hung in the air forever. And it didn't look like it was going to go the way of Noller, but he made a quick throw to get the runner in time. So Eric Calder, a big chance to get Frankie Giacalone across, and for a guy that is overdue at the plate, he keeps making contact. He just has been unable to put it into the right spots as Calder. He's got a big moment here. Bester, first pitch to Calder, and it hits him in the side, so no need to swing for Calder. He'll head off to first base, and while we have a second, let's talk about it. Carter Roth, most doubles in a season. He has 20. That breaks the previous record held by a guy who holds just about every record in Mavericks history, or one of the guys that holds just about every record. He's in the top 5 in Brian Avery. Almost got him confused with Brian Arthur, who has many of the records, and that statement would be applicable to him as well. But Brian Avery, Nick Thibodeau, and Blake Rowlett tied with 19 doubles in a season. Carter Roth breaks it with 20. And now a hit by pitch to Blake Dale, and the bases are loaded here for the Mavs. Riley Bester unraveling on the mound, similar to how Cody Myers did, but it's not because he's been getting hit up a whole bunch. Instead, he's doing the hitting. He's plunked the last 2 batters. And here comes Devin Sawyer out of the dugout to have a conversation with his starter. Sawyer found something in the infield. He's trying to figure out who he should give it to down there. Instead, he just chucks it into foul territory. And now he'll talk it over with Bester. The Mavs, bases loaded. It has not been their favorite look. You would think a team gets bases loaded. Oh, that's just perfect. That's what you want, where you want to be, the situation you want to be in. And that just has not been the case for Medicine Hat. They have struggled mightily with runners in scoring position and with the bases loaded look. Does this game have a different feel? We'll see. And up to the plate comes Jaziel Grudelaars. Grudelaars, a base hit machine, and he's been getting better with the bat as the season has gone on, usually in the lower half of the lineup. And the Mavs are going to need their lower half to figure it out, as Grudelaars, the switch-hitting catcher, elects to bat left here against Bester. So 2 out for the 57s, but 3 looming behind Bester. Grudelaars, first pitch taken for ball 1. It's not the beginning to this count that Bester would have hoped for. Of course, when you allow a bunch of runners on, you want to start out the next batter with a strike. Just show him that you can be around the zone again and put some pressure on the batter. Grudelaars takes another ball inside. Now it's 2-0. So it becomes interesting here. You'd like to walk in a run, make it a 1-run game. You can be patient all at bat long, but it feels like almost a green light scenario here at 2-0 for Grudelaars. Pitch from Bester. Grudelaars will take, and now it's 2-1. So Grudelaars trying to work the count here between him and Bester. Bester leans into one on the mound. Grudelaars, a swing and a miss as he swipes away. The count is evened at 2 apiece. So now this becomes an at-bat where you have to bear down if you're Jaziel Grudelaars. A strike away from being out of the inning and a hit away from potentially tying this game. Here's Bester on the way. Grudelaar stays alive. Right into the dugout went that one, and I believe it hit Carter Roth. Oh, no, that's devastating. Roth immediately going down into the bottom of the dugout. Oh, I hope that was off the hop, because that is not fun if it was a direct hit to Roth. Looks like Roth able to shrug it off as he's back up and walking around, but never something you want to see. Bester back to Grudelaars. He'll lean over, take a ball, and then Mace Wheeler was looking to gun down to first base. Blake Dale with a large leadoff. Grudelaars, the Mavs runners in motion here. Bester. Pitch to Grudelaars. It's high, and a bat whip for Grudelaars on the walk. It is a one-run game. If you want a little bit of juice, you want some energy into your dugout, Jaziel Grudelaars provides that. And, you know, a pretty wild celebration for just a walk. And if I'm an opposing player, I would not be a fan of that, I'll be honest. But the Mavericks need some momentum. They need a little bit of joy. They need to have some fun. And Jaziel Grudelaars, a guy that can provide all of that. And even with a slight celebration like that, it allows the Mavs to be a bit freer. And now a bases-loaded situation for Josh Stark. Bester, Stark, going to take the first pitch for a strike. He thought about swinging. Despite all of the chaos in this inning, Riley Bester has only thrown 19 pitches so far. You know, it's up there, but it's not out of control. Bester, second pitch to Stark. Wheeler thought about throwing down. He does like to unleash. And players have been known to steal on Wheeler so far this year. It's fitting. I'm going to spoil it, but our head-to-head tonight will feature a pair of catchers, and Wheeler may be included in that. Here's the 1-1 to Josh Stark. Stark takes for a ball, off-speed pitch outside from Bester. You wonder if the time sitting down, just being away from the mound for Cody Myers will help him when he returns in the second inning. Bester feels like a chance to swing for Josh Stark at the plate. Here comes the pitch, high to Stark, and you don't want to swing at that one. Now it is 3-1. A long walk around here for Riley Bester, who has to hone it all back in, breathe a little bit. Here's Stark. Very edge of the batter's box. And back edge, that is. Here comes Bester. Stark. And he gets a walk as well as he throws off the bat. And it's a 4-4 tie game here in the first inning. How many runs are we going to have tonight? I know there's no betting on this game, but if you were, you know, let's just say betting with rocks in the stands or, you know, quarter betting, and you put this game, you were to say, you know, this game might be a low-scoring affair. I think it's only going to reach 10 runs or it'll be under 11 runs. You'd be very wrong. I mean, this has the chance this has a chance to see both teams get into the double-digit mark. Of course, we're only in the first inning, and Carter Roth getting his second at-bat of the first now. Bester, pitch behind Carter Roth, and Roth stalling there. Wheeler talking to the home plate umpire, probably saying, hey, that's not intentional. My guy's just lost a bit of his control, and already not only movement in the Swift Current bullpen, but some frantic throwing down there on the right-hand side. And it looks like it is Koufax Cramner, the all-star, who's getting warm. Pitch here from Bester, hits for a strike. Cramner has started here before, and he is really moving down on that right-hand side. This gets into a spot where Carter Roth lengthens the inning. We could see Cramner come in. Here's Roth, rips that down the line. Just getting out of the way was Blake Dale. I don't believe that hit Blake Dale, but he walked off as if it was pretty close. Doing some hopping up and down. Maybe it did catch a piece of him. Carter Roth looks like he's checking over on that side to make sure Dale is okay. Those guys have been teammates over the last 2 years. So a 1-2 count here. Bester looking to finish it off. Roth won't offer. A dipping pitch there for Bester, and now it's 2-2. What a first inning it has been. A bit of a marathon inning. Both teams putting up a lot of runs. The Mavs with a chance to take the lead. Bester, Roth spoils it towards the dugout. It looked like Diego Centella had jumped over the railing, and he fielded it as if he was a shortstop. That's the sort of fun you need to keep it lighter if you're the Mavericks right about now. Neither of these teams have nothing to lose. Either you're going to stay where you are and miss the playoffs, or you're going to make a run for it, so you might as well enjoy it. Bester tries it again. Roth pops this up. Should be playable up on the mound for Bester, and he will make the grab. So the Mavericks, they get 4 back. They tie the game up, but they do leave the bases stranded late in the inning. But a job well done overall. You know, climbing out of a hole and not letting the 57s run away with the game. It's something we've seen throughout past games from Medicine Hat. They're not letting that happen today, and a strong showing in the bottom of the first. Forgettable first inning for Cody Myers, who gave up 4 runs on 5 hits. But that's why you have the rest of the game still to play. We still have 8 more innings here, and it's a 4-4 tie through 1. Oh, we've got a good one cooking up here at Athletic Park, and Cody Myers wants to be a part of it. He wants to add some of his signature flair to this game. He'll see Hudson Unger to begin this inning, just how he started his last, and it began with a pop-up in the first, and then the rally came for the 57s. Mentioned the 5 hits and, of course, the 4 runs to tally along. First pitch is a strike from Myers. Second pitch is a strike as well. Maybe it only needed to be just a 1-inning kind of dust off the rust sort of affair for Myers on the mound to get him back into this game. A lot more time off in between starts for Myers. They're going to check on if he went, and Unger held back, so it'll be 1-2. Think about the added extra 2 days off on Saturday and Sunday. There's some guys, they love the breaks, a chance to recharge, get the battery back up. And other guys, it takes them out of their rhythm. Myers, right along the line, and he doesn't get the call. You can see that pitch falling away and just missing the zone. 2-2 to Hudson Unger. Zach Clow waiting on deck. Myers. Here's Unger over towards right field. Easy pickings for Josh Stark. That's out number 1. So despite the success for the 57s in the hit department, Hudson Unger 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts. At least he's finding it against Myers. That's a positive sign moving forward for a guy who's been with the 57s longer than most. You think of him and Rydell Adair, really the longest 2 standing members on this team. Here's a ground ball ripped past Nick Hill, and it's in for a base hit, maybe more. Around second base goes Zach Clow, and he tripped up on his way over there. Then Volcano loses the ball over to Roth. The tag is there. Wow, what a circus play. Are you kidding me? Oh, shades of Randy Arozarena in the World Series, except the opposite call at the very end. Zach Clow looked like he had two bags in the bag, and instead it was a slip up, then a bobbled ball by Johnny Volcano. He gets to it in time, flips it to Roth. Roth gets the tag on the swing move from Clow. Wow, a lot to digest in that one play right there. I mean, if that was the best play in this game, I mean, that would make for a pretty high-end play overall. I expect we're going to see more of that with all the chaos that has already occurred. And that is out number 2, and now a pop-up towards Carter Roth, directing off Johnny Volcano. And instead of having Zach Clow on second, it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Mavs, as fate had it. You know, an easier inning as things may have suggested right off the hop, and I think maybe a different game than they expected after the top of the first. A 0 put up by Cody Myers, an efficient inning here as the Mavs, they flip it over to the back half of the second when we return. One for one is Evan Morrison, a hit, a run in to score, and now he returns here in the second inning with his second at-bat. Still in the mound is Riley Bester. You thought they might go to Koufax Cranmer. Said Cranmer now sits down, Bester back into the game. He used up a lot of pitches in that last inning. Talked about that maybe not as high as some, but he still threw 29 pitches in that first inning. And that total continued to range up as the bases became loaded, at least for the first time, and then more pitches to follow. A long at-bat against Jaziel Grudelars, the same against Josh Stark, both resulting in walks. And it's 2-0 here to Morrison, who would love to walk on to first as well. Pitch misses to Morrison, so it's 3-0. Pitching with the lead. Sometimes it's more pressurized than pitching from behind. You can be more free. I'm not sure if that's the reason for why Riley Bester has struggled, but he has not had a good day. He's not through the second yet. He's just at the beginning. And a first walk here for Evan Morrison in the game, a guy that walks a lot and has walked a lot throughout the year. He'll take that, get on first, and it'll send up Nick Hill. So a long walk around for Bester, and now a pitcher back up, and it's Cranmer again who gets some throwing in the bullpen. Cranmer, not a guy who the Mavericks want to see. He had their number in his first appearance here at Athletic Park, and the sooner the 57s make the change, potentially the better with how he's played at Athletic Park. One on here, Nick Hill swooping out of the way. That ball labeled for his arm, and Bester is going to take his hat off and get completely readjusted on the mound. Bester, pitch to Hill. and not a pitch to hit as he takes for a ball. That is 6 consecutive balls to start the inning for Riley Bester. Bester, head tilt, flies that one up high. Chance to go for Morrison. He'll get to second base. Mace Wheeler quickly to it. And so not a chance to get an extra from Morrison. But he'll take 2 in this scenario. Now he's into scoring position with nobody out. Nick Hill at the plate. Hill a sacrifice fly his first time up. So no hits yet for a guy who dominated in his first week of the season. A quieter last 3 games for Hill. Stepping off the mound is Bester. I'm not sure if he heard something from a fan or the dugout, but you could see him turn his head over towards what would be his left and our right. Now he's back towards Nick Hill. 3-0 count. Hill taking all the way. Strike to the high part of the zone for Bester. Bester looks to find the strike zone one more time against Hill. And Hill a swing and a miss. I'm not sure where that pitch would have been, and I'm sure Hill will ask about it. Looked like he checked over maybe with David Dell to see where it was at third base, or at least get a signal for what's to come here on a full count look between Hill and Bester on the mound. Here's the pitch from Bester. Hill fouls it off and stays alive. Bester. Couple of head shakes. Quick check on Morrison. Here comes the pitch to Hill, and it's high, so a walk to Nick Hill. 2 on here for the Mavericks. And it looks like the day for Riley Bester will end here in the second inning. He won't get through it. A short-lived start for Bester. It's not as long as his last time here at Athletic Park, but 2 games where he has struggled in playing in Medicine Hat. And Koufax Cranmer, the All-Star, will enter the game in relief here for Swift Current in a 4-4 tie so far early here.
For over a century, we've been more than just lawyers. We're your neighbors, your friends, and your strongest advocates. With locations across the prairies, we're everywhere you are. Stringham, your local lawyers.
Yo, that's the one.
You going?
Yes.
Can I join you guys? All right, let's go.
Whether it's on the ice or on our app, always play for the fun of the game. Gamble responsibly with Play Alberta.
The Okotoks Dogs and Baseball Canada will host the Road to Okotoks and the Morneau Cup National Championship at the Seaman Stadium Complex from July 14th to 19th. Come watch the top 16 youth baseball teams from across the country. These are the future stars of Canadian baseball, tomorrow's collegiate standouts and professional players, all chasing a national championship. Don't miss a week of elite competition, unforgettable moments, and the future of Canadian baseball in Okotoks.
Frankie Giacalone, he found second base last time he came up to bat. Of course, there was a lot that went on in left field during that at-bat. Now he's got 2 on here with nobody out, but it's a new pitcher, Koufax Cranmer. You game plan for one guy, you get a different one early on. Does that help out the Swift Current 57s? We'll have to see. First pitch is a swinging strike. Giacalone will work from behind. Cranmer, swing and a miss from Giacalone. Losing it was Wheeler. He was looking to convert a throw over towards Keegan Noller at first base. Instead, it goes back to the mound for Cranmer, who's gone into attack mode here early on. Sometimes when you get thrown into the game, you don't have enough time to think, and it actually helps out a pitcher. And in a sense here, Cranmer, he's getting the best of coming in hot. Cranmer, pitch outside to Giacalone. Wanted to see if he would chase. Giacalone 1 home run away from tying the Mavs' all-time single-season record as he sends a ground ball right towards the gap. Flip over second. Giacalone's there in time at first. So they get one in Nick Hill, who was walked earlier. Hill got up slowly, but it looks like he's okay. Now there's runners on the corners with one out. The leading run over at third base and Evan Morrison. Johnny Volcano, who got close to beating out a throw at first last time, will head to the plate. First time he'll see Cranmer in this game. Cranmer did get into the All-Star game to pitch, but he's obviously had a little bit of time off, and that allows the 57s to take him out of the bullpen. But what sort of leash does he have as a regular starter in the rotation? Maybe they only want to use him for an inning or two so that he can make a regular start down the road. 1-0 here to Volcano. Volcano's had a great year so far. Over 300 average. I believe it's at the 318 mark, and he's chasing down a couple of records on his own. We've talked endlessly about the all-time games played record, but he's right in the running as well for runs in a career, doubles in a career, and hits in a career. It might be a little far-fetched, but he's going to move into second base most likely in that category as well. One of the all-time best Mavs, at least statistically. The numbers speak for themselves. Head shake here from Volcano. Pitch speaks for itself there, no swing. Cranmer heads in. Volcano pulls it. Just 3 hits for the Mavericks here, but 4 runs to go with it. 5 hits in the first, 1 hit in the second for Swift Current. Cranmer tight to his body. Pitch is just low. A good pitch to hang off of there for Volcano. I'm sure he wanted to swing in his head, but not willing to chase. Now the 3-1 to Volcano. Up right away, and Volcano, great shot over into left field, and that'll be a base hit. Morrison's in to score, and the Mavs have a 5-4 lead at home, and 2 on. This inning is not over yet. Cranmer went with the fastball. Volcano loves to hunt those, and he sent it back the other way, and he gives the Mavs the lead. So maybe that hit total is reachable, all-time most hits. At least if he keeps doing that. Here's Eric Calder. So from a righty to a lefty here, and the makeup of this order allows for the Mavericks to do that. That righty-lefty-righty combination is something the pitchers hate to see, and a little bit of that here from Medicine Hat today. Cranmer, a floater into Calder, who tilts his head. Calder changed his approach a bit last game. He was much more crouched in an athletic stance where he's used to standing straight up, in a very calm demeanor at the plate, and a straightforward approach. Calder takes outside. It looks like he's adjusted a little bit back to what he was doing before that made him successful. This count is 1-1. Calder's got a pretty good eye at the plate as well. He's 1 hit away from getting back into a groove that he was in earlier in the year, where everything just seemed to fall in the right spot. Calder loops this one to center field. It should be playable, and it is. Hudson Unger with the catch. Volcano will head back to first. Runners will stay put. Now there's 2 outs for Blake Dale. Blake Dale hit by a pitch last time. So was Eric Calder. Dale will take his time. For a guy that's batted so much in the number 2 spot, maybe a bit of a breath of fresh air to get a changed position in the lineup. You know, everybody wants to bat at the top, but a chance to move down and get your confidence back is also okay, and I think that plays well for Blake Dale. Don't get it twisted, though. He is not a 7-hole hitter. He can be a guy that slots in at the top of your order. He just needs a little time to find that level again. Cranmer, speedy quick on the mound. Fitting he's playing for Speedy Creek as this one's towed off by Dale, and it will go all the way into the Mavs dugout off the top of it, and then onto the patio's top. Hopefully everybody was watching their heads down there wearing helmets. Lots of cowboy hats around the ballpark today. The Medicine Hat Stampede and Exhibition getting underway. The official parade starting tomorrow morning. The Mavericks will have a float in it, and you can feel the excitement in the community. It's a good time to be in Medicine Hat right now. Cranmer's going to step off. Giacalone scampering back to second. Steffes wasn't playing close enough to provide any threat of a throw over. Cranmer, 1-1 to Dale. And it's a called strike. I can tell Blake Dale not a fan of that call. It was awfully close, but Cranmer can locate pretty well. When that pitch is working, when he can go off speed and clip the corner, he becomes a really dangerous pitcher. So I'm missing there early on, but that time he gets it to go. Here's the 1-2 from Cranmer. And a base hit into left field for Blake Dale. Giacalone's being sent by David Dell. A long throw in, close at the plate. Sliding in's Giacalone, and Wheeler gets him with the tag. We have not seen a lot of tagouts at the plate so far this year, and Giacalone gets bit by Wheeler's glove, and this remains just a one-run ball game. The Mavs get a run early on, but are not able to convert the second. Giacalone with the final tag from Wheeler, and we remain right tight here at Athletic Park. Here's tonight's head-to-head matchup between the Mavericks and 57s. We've talked about a few of the statistics between these two already. The head-to-head matchup being controlled by 2 games by the Medicine Hat Mavericks, 4-2 record this year. Last year, they only lost 1 game to the 57s, so, Swift Current got to feel good. They've made 1 back, but obviously not the record that they would like. And same can be said for their overall record as well. 14-27 on the year are the 57s, 17-26 for the Medicine Hat Mavericks, and the Mavs a 316 runs scored as far as the season goes, 258 for the 57s. Their offense has not been as alive as the Mavericks at times in this game. 4 runs in the first. It's a pretty good start, and they got to Cody Myers through 1. Inning 2, a different story. 3 quick outs for Myers and a little bit of luck involved as well. Now here's Mace Wheeler, final tag in the last as he flips this one over into right center field. It's down for a base hit. Wheeler thought about stretching for 2. The right call as it's a bouncer into Volcano, and the leadoff man's aboard here for the 57s. That's one way that you can respond if you're Swift Current. This just has the feeling of a tight game all night long, and neither team wanting to let their season kind of fall by the wayside. Here with the early runner on for Wheeler, that helps. Here's Jake Steffes 1-for-1 in this game. Steffes a swing and a miss on the first pitch from Myers. You almost have a built-in scouting report if you're Steffes. You see everything that Myers can do. You know his preparation. You know how he goes about things. You know kind of the sequence he works in, and he's gotten to it here already. Second pitch to Steffes is a strike. And I'm sure there was a lot of scouting report sharing for Chance Crawford and Steffes with the rest of their teammates on this 57s team. And it clearly has worked. 7 hits already off of Myers. Myers, quick flip, Grudelars, quick flinch as well. I don't think there's going to be a lot of attempted steals today with Grudelars behind the plate, and I think the 57s know that by now. At the start of the year, okay, you're going to challenge Grudelars when you don't know a lot about him, and now you know that he is a cannon, and I don't think they'll test it. Myers just staying around as Steffes off the top of the bat and into the netting. So a 1-2 look here to Jake Steffes. Myers would love a ground ball, but a strikeout might taste sweeter against his friend. Steffes, ground ball over towards Hill. He flips to second. Roth trying to get it to first. It's a high throw to Giacalone. It would have been tough regardless. So the Mavs get the lead runner, but on will go Steffes. And Keegan Noller comes to the plate with one on. Now here's a spot if you're the 57s where you go, okay, a guy on. It almost feels like we have a runner in scoring position with how well Keegan Noller can hit the ball and how far he can hit it. And now he'll go against a left-handed pitcher in Cody Myers, so a matchup that you have to like if you're Noller. Myers. Noller, a swing and a miss on the first pitch. Off speed, a nose-diving pitch for Myers on the mound. Thank goodness Myers wasn't pitching yesterday because we had Jalen Myers in that game as well. The Myers to Myers combination could be confusing. It's Myers and Noller right here, right now. Pitch is outside from Myers. Holding off is Noller. Keegan Noller, the chosen participant for the 57s in the home run derby, mentioned that Jake Hiramoto didn't get the call. Noller not coming away with a win in that contest. It was David Simmons of Energy City who did. A long foul ball here for Noller. It'll be 1-2. And then, of course, the bunt competition, which I don't think is going to be making a return next year. Lucas Geisler, who's not in the game today for the 57s, a first-time All-Star and second-year WCBL player. He participated in that. So they'll miss the contact that Geisler can provide. He can bat in the leadoff spot, bat low in the lineup. He doesn't care as long as he gets in, but not here tonight is the veteran WCBL player. Here's Noller, a swing and a miss, and a strikeout from Myers for out number 2. Noller reached base a lot last time he was here. A couple of walks, I think a hit by pitch. And then the time before that, he struck out a whole bunch. And in his first game, he got a bunch of hits. So it's been 3 completely different performances from Keegan Noller in Medicine Hat. And today, mixed reviews for Noller as he strikes out. So 2 outs, 1 on. Fouling that off. A hot pitch out of the hand of Myers. And Chance Crawford will swing at the first. Crawford 0 for 1 tonight with a strikeout. Cody Myers 2 strikeouts on the night, including the Noller one from the last at-bat. Myers, Crawford loops this into center field. Running onto it is Evan Morrison for out number 3. So the first batter got on for the 57s, but after that it was the Mavs defense and Cody Myers on the bump who made it happen. And this game remains a 1-run lead for Medicine Hat.
Have you ever wondered if there's one thing that connects people from across our province? Something that connects the coffee shop to the spray park, or the brewery to the rodeo, the campground to the sports field. It's pretty amazing when you think about how it's all connected, because it truly is. And it's all we think about, so you don't have to.
Second inning on the bump for Koufax Cranmer, who relieved Riley Bester of his duties. And I guess if you're going by the numbers, it's technically not 2 full innings, but at least the second inning that Cranmer has seen action, and he'll see Jaziel Grudelar's first. Owner Greg Morrison was late getting out over towards first base, but for a guy who's that fit, it won't take any time for Mo to get over there. Good running stride from Mo. I'm sure he could still run the base as well. Cranmer, 1-0 pitch to Jaziel Grudelars. Now it's 1-1. Grudelars with a celebratory bat flip after a walk in his last plate appearance. Not something you see, but when you're in the spot that the Mavs have been in the last couple of games, trailing, not getting things to go their way, no momentum, Grudelars doing that was probably the right move. It's all about when you time it here. Timing good on the count for Grudelars right now. It is 3-1. Cranmer, almost a quick pitch, and it caught Grudelars on the hand. I think they were going to check to see if it hit the bat first. That is one of the most complicated things to figure out. We obviously don't have replay systems in the WCBL, while some teams might. We don't here in Medicine Hat, and so you can't check to see if it hit the bat first or the hand first. And judging by the reaction from Grudelars over at first base and Greg Morrison, who's got a background in, of course, sports medicine, he's going to check on Grudelars down there, make sure the hand is okay. And here comes Josh Stark with one on. Stark, swing and a miss. Fastball there from Cranmer as he dialed it up for strike one. Carter Roth is waiting on deck. Record-setting day for Roth, who, if you are just joining us, broke the all-time doubles in a season record for the Medicine Hat Mavericks. He had tied it a night ago, late in yesterday's game. And in a game where you're winning, that's when you want to break records. They mean so much more, and you can actually celebrate them after the game. Stark, a swing and a miss as he's behind again on Cranmer's fastball. Stark may be hoping for something off speed, but forced to swing with how good the location is here from Cranmer. Cranmer went high, fastball again. Wheeler loved the pitch, a point back towards his pitcher after it. Cranmer checks over to first. A long step there for Grudelars, who gets back. Grudelars is a guy who can steal bases. He hasn't had enough opportunities to do that this year. I'm not sure if this situation presents a chance to do that. Ooh, a floater there from Cranmer. That is a complete change-up from what he saw before, and I think the pitch was a change-up as well, but I'm speaking more so about he goes with a high velocity fastball and then goes to an off-speed pitch, which just died inside. Here's a slow-rolling ground ball to second. Tap of the bag, double play made. The splits from Keegan Noller. And that arrived right at the front porch of Anthony Hector. He gets the double play on his own. So a 6-3 for the 57s here. They get 2 outs in a jiffy. And now here comes Carter Roth at the top of the Mavericks order. And an interesting setup here from the 57s. Jake Steffes has moved all the way right behind second base. They're almost playing Roth to pull here, which is interesting, especially for a guy that just places the ball everywhere. Roth takes for strike one against Cranmer. I don't think I've ever seen a defense shift for Carter Roth before, at least in this league. Cranmer does not take any time to get back to his glove. Roth in between the gap and in for a base hit, so you can put as many players to the left side as you would like, and Roth still gets it done. A double and a single for the Mavs two-time All-Star. He parks up at first base. Here comes Evan Morrison with 2 outs. You could just see the confidence with Carter Roth hitting leadoff in this game. It is a completely different Roth, and it is the Roth we saw at the very beginning of last year, which we all know how good he was. He batted like near the 500 mark for the first couple of weeks of the season. That's almost unheard of in baseball, and Roth was leading the league in batting average at the time. Strike here to Morrison. He's behind 0-2. Roth led the Mavs in batting average last year. He's done that again this season. Cranmer checks on Roth. A quick step back to first. No dive needed. And now focusing back in on the count is Cranmer. Just needs one more strike against Morrison to strand Roth at first. Pitch outside. You could tell that Mace Wheeler is just loving working with Koufax Cranmer. They are very much on the same page, and you could just see the positivity behind the plate from Wheeler after every pitch. Morrison decides not to swing. A second pitch to the outer half. Two to Morrison. Roth over on first base, hopping around. And now a high pitch to Morrison as he waits it out again against Cranmer. Ryan Reed was talking about that he wants Evan Morrison to be aggressive, swing the bat in this situation. Morrison has read it well, and he's read Cranmer even better. There's a swing and a miss. Cranmer gets the last laugh against Morrison as he gives up 3 balls after starting him off 0-2 and then finishes the job. Stranded at 1 is Carter Roth, and the Mavs lead still just 1 here at home through 3 as we keep it going during Stampede Weekend in Medicine Hat. It's a beautiful time to be a Hatter, and the weather keeping up to that standard as well. A sunny night at the ballpark. The Mavs have put away their relievers here. There was some traction in the bullpen. Not quite what we saw from the 57s, but it's because Cody Myers has started to figure it out. He's now into the 4th inning here, and his first pitch of the inning is a ball to Adam Rowland, who gets his second at-bat. You think about Rowland. He got an at-bat in the first inning. It looked like the 57s were going to flip over the order, and then since then it's been 2 zeros from Myers. He's just calmed the storm down, and he's taken a real mature approach on the mound. It's working out for him and the Mavericks. Here's a ground ball foul. Chance to swing there for Rowland. He read the count and saw a chance to put bat to ball. Waiting on deck is Anthony Hector, and then it'll be the 3rd at-bat of the game for Hudson Unger, who's in the hole. High pop-up towards Johnny Volcano. He's going to range backwards towards left field, and now he will stamp that ball for out number 1. Weak contact, so important for a pitcher to get, and we've seen that in the past from Cody Myers. Tonight, it wasn't that in the first inning. Now he's getting some weaker pop-ups, and that's important that he's making the adjustments that obviously he saw the 57's hitters had adjusted to before the game had even started. They knew the scouting report, they got to it, and now things have just changed completely, and it is because Myers has, stayed confident, stayed calm, and just used his mechanics well, continued to work his approach. 2-0 here to Anthony Hector, who scoots out of the way. Hector lunging, chance to swing, decides not to, and Myers pulled that one down. It's now 3-0. Myers, high pitch on the 3-0, and that's a 4-pitch walk to Anthony Hector. You don't want to walk the last batter in the order. It's, of course, the 9-hole hitter doesn't always indicate how good or how bad you are, but in the case of the 57s, the numbers for Hector, they haven't been the best this year compared to some of his other teammates. Only a 239 average, and a guy who strikes out more than he walks. Myers sends him over towards first base, and now he'll move on to Hudson Unger, who's 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts. First pitch to Unger is a strike, and they've been to 2 different locations, one to left field to Blake Dale, and the other far right to Josh Stark. Myers, high pitch, Grudelar's the snatch. Hector wait on first base. Right there next to him is Frankie Giacalone. Myers is going to look over a bouncer towards Giacalone. And I'm not sure if that's because of the sun or just a missed throw from Cody Myers. No stolen bases in the game yet, at least completed one so far. Here's Myers on the 1-1. Runner going to go, and it's fouled aside by Unger, and he's lucky because if that lands in the wheelhouse for Jaziel Grudelars, it doesn't matter how fast you are, you're probably getting gunned down by one of the league's best. 13 for 18 this year in catching runners is Jaziel Grudelars. Hudson Unger behind in the count 1-2. It's a place he's found himself before. Hector, not the longest of leadoffs. Here's a ground ball over to Giacalone. He flips to second. Over to Myers, and Cody Myers got lucky that he knocked that down. I don't think they would have been able to get Unger for a double play, and it was just because of where Giacalone positionally got the ball. It's always tricky for a first baseman to get it over to second and move it back. It's almost an extra turn on a car ride, Instead of being home a little bit earlier, you're a minute late, and nobody wants to be late to anything, but situationally not favorable for Giacalone, and you can't fault him for the play. He's good to get the lead runner at second. Myers has to work with Hudson Unger on first. Here's Zach Clow, who's had a pretty good night. Clow so far 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk. So 1 for 1 if you're counting along at home. Myers, Clow just misses it. That's as close as you're going to get if you're Clow. I think Cody Myers knows what pitch not to throw him next time around. He knows what Clow's hunting. Not a long lead off from Unger, at least yet. Pitch down low, no swing from Clow. Waiting on deck is Jake Hiramoto. Myers would love to get out of this inning before seeing Hiramoto and leave him for the next with nobody on. Myers, thinking about swinging there was Zach Clow, and now it's 3-1. Maybe the approach here from Myers comes from the fact that Clow was so close to getting to that only strike on the count. Doesn't want to flirt with danger again. Good pitch down low and a good framing job there from Grudelars, who hung on. So a full count to Zach Clow. This is one where if you're a pitcher, if you get out of a situation like this, even though it's minor compared to some, this is one that can evoke some emotion. Here's a fly ball out to right field. Josh Stark, a good jump. And the ball will land into his glove. Cody Myers, after giving up 4 in the first, 3 consecutive zeros, he continues to trend in the right direction, and he continues to keep the Mavs out front by 1.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
The Mavs will call upon Nick Hill here in the bottom of the 4th inning to begin. So it'll be Mac U to Mac U. Frankie Giacalone waits on deck. There are 3 Mac U batters in the lineup tonight. Of course, Jackson Miller, the 4th player that is currently here from Mid-America Christian. He's a pitcher. Ryan Reed, a coach at Mac U. And here goes Nick Hill all the way out to left field. That one is gone. Nick Hill, you know, he lost the long ball for a little while, and eventually he wakes up and he launches one into left. That is the Nick Hill of old, and the Mavs up by 2 here against the 57s. And his teammate and good friend Frankie Giacalone there to greet him right away. A promising sign for the Mavs. You know, they're offense after that first inning, and you know they get the one obviously in inning 2, but it went quiet for an inning. Now it's picked back up by Nick Hill, and this is a good sign. It's a colorful scoreboard on the Mavs end. Here's Koufax Cranmer. It was almost a Eufus pitch out of the hand. Frankie Giacalone's not going to offer at it. Giacalone would love to make it 2 in a row, especially because he is on the brink of making history for the Mavs in the home run department. Giacalone, no swing. Of course, Giacalone, it's only his first year with the Mavs, so not in the chase for career home runs. That was set by Joel Lutz. He had 23 in his Mavericks tenure. Home runs in a season, Giacalone fits in well there. He has 10 so far this year. The record is 11. 2-1 here to the California native. Cranmer. High fly ball over towards center field. A tough play to be made, and it bounces to the back wall. Giacalone will take 2, and he has himself a double. So maybe not the home run that Giacalone was wishing for, but an extra base hit for the big fella, and now Johnny Volcano comes up with a runner in scoring position. What a beginning to this inning for the Mavs. The bottom of the 4th is shaping up to be a big one here for Medicine Hat. Volcano began his career with the Lethbridge Bulls, known for being a Mav and known for being clutch. He already has a hit today. Can he add to his total? Cranmer slows it up. Pitch misses into the other batter's box. Volcano. Now a 1-0 count. And Volcano stings this one towards center field. Backing up and making the grab in center field is Hudson Unger. Nearly went over his head. Looks like he's playing in on that side, and Volcano, the right type of hit. It almost fooled Unger for a second. It almost resulted in the same play that Giacalone just had. And not far enough for Giacalone to obviously take off for third base and make this less of a journey towards home plate. So it'll be Eric Calder now with 1 out in this inning. Or actually, no, that's right, 1 out. I was second guessing myself here. Just the fly out as Giacalone stays put. Here's Calder. Pitch from Cranmer is down low for ball 1. You have to pay attention to so many different numbers. If you're a broadcaster or a statistician, even a PA announcer sometimes, if you're a player, you'd like to avoid looking at your numbers. Some guys it helps. Most guys it's going to hurt. And if you get too focused on what you're doing numbers-wise, it can impact your game. Here's Cranmer on the pitch. Now it's 2-0 to Eric Calder. Now the metrics that can improve your swing and improve how you go about things, what pitch maybe you see better than others, those are numbers that you should pay attention to. Things like batting average, home runs, hits, they're an added extra. Maybe not something you want to focus on all the time. Here's Calder, a long one towards right field. If it's fair, it's gone, and it's gone! A 2-run home run for Eric Calder, and the Mavs lead by 4. Way to break a slump, Eric Calder. He's been in and out of the lineup, and that is the swing he has been looking for. A bomb over to right field, right near the 350 pole, and it gets out off the top. And look at his team. The entire group outside of the dugout waiting for the arrival of Calder. They know how bad he has wanted to improve. They know how bad he has been itching to break this slump, and that will do it. All it took was one swing from Calder, and the Mavs now lead 8-4 here at home. Blake Dale. That pitch not close from Cranmer, who's falling apart on the mound here. We saw an unraveling from Riley Bester, and you hope for Cranmer. You know, the numbers, they haven't held up to what he did at the start of the year, but he is a great talent out there. Maybe not the tallest figure. He doesn't have the length that a Sean Bavis or a Weston Walls and Moose Jaw might have, but he's gritty, and he can really launch the ball when he gets going, especially for a guy that's not coming over the top all the time. Here's the 2-0 from Cranmer. High pitch to Blake Dale, who sits. See a round of applause over there from David Dell as well. Maybe he was just clapping along with the crowd as they are very into this game. You know, it's been a nervous crowd for a lot of the year in Medicine Hat. And, I mean, that's understandable. There's been some games that have been blown, some times that the Mavs have been behind by big figures. And today, a completely different story. You get 2 home runs in an inning, and you just feel alive, and mix in that, you know, it's a good time to be in the community. Lots happening that is positive. The weather has been really good recently, and, you know, summer isn't going to last forever, so you might as well get out to a ball game. And on a Wednesday night, when school's out and time isn't as busy at work, there's just nothing better to do than come out to Athletic Park and enjoy the festivities and enjoy good baseball. Cranmer. The 3-0 pitch misses Blake Dale. Another trip towards first base. Here comes Jaziel Grudelaars up to bat. Josh Stark following right behind, and he's just going to pick up the scraps from Blake Dale. Grudelaars, a tap of his helmet. In the MLB, that means that you're challenging a call. Grudelaars, it's just part of his routine. Blake Dale, a short lead over at first. Cranmer, first pitch to Grudelaars, and now similar to Bester, allergic to the strike zone is Cranmer, and that's not meant to be an insult. He's just not able to find it right now. Grudelaars swings, knocks that aside. Noller was hoping that it stayed in. Instead, it is called foul. After this inning, we'll take a look at around the rest of the WCBL and how games are shaking out. I'm sure both these teams focused on this game, but also on the battle going on in Weyburn between the Red Sox and the Beavers. Grudelars is going to hold up on that pitch, and a well-located one for Cranmer, who uses the outside edge. Grudelars flips this one into center field for a base hit, and now there's 2 on for the Mavericks as Jaziel Grudelars, he's began the night hot. Josh Stark, that 9-hole hitter for the Mavs. Carter Roth is looming on deck, and the Mavs wanting more runs in an inning that began on the right side. Nick Hill, a home run. Frankie Giacalone reached. Home run later on for Eric Calder, and now 2 on for Josh Stark, who it's been a while since he's put one over the fence. And after seeing Eric Calder go to right field, Stark, a guy who loves that spot, would like to do the same. Cranmer, Stark loops this one up towards center field. A mad chase out there, and it's Jake Steffes who will take it from second base for out number 2. So Stark a fly out. Here comes Carter Roth. Roth a single and a double in his 2 plate appearances. You look at this Mavs lineup, Josh Stark, the only guy without a hit so far tonight, but he has an RBI and a walk, so you could say that that's a successful evening for him as well. Still lots of ball to be played as we're only in the 4th inning, and you got to feel there'll be a push at some point from Swift Current. They've shown that throughout the year. This is not the Swift Current that we knew from 2025. This team has some aggressiveness to them, and they have some bite back. Roth. There's a longer time sequence between pitches here as Cranmer has slowed his roll. Cranmer leans in, throwback to first, covering his head was Jaziel Grudelars, and I would have been doing the same thing. Grudelars knows how fast a ball can move from catcher to first baseman, or any infielder for that matter. And you got to hold tight. Roth. A pump of the bat routinely on his shoulder. Cranmer. Roth just gets a piece of that as he was fading away on the swing, and now it's 2-1. Sometimes you have to spoil a pitch that you don't like, that you know might be in the strike zone, and you get the feeling that that was one of those for Carter Roth. You can always take as well in a 2-1 count, but it's a situation you'd like to go ahead and swing, and now Roth has a 2-1 look again. We'll see if he goes back to the swing. Roth plops this one out towards right field, and it's down for a base hit. David Dell is going to wave Blake Dale. The throw is going to go to third base, and it gets by. Jaziel Grudelars heads for third. He should be able to come in to score. He will. The home plate umpire is going to rule that that is a ground rule double, and actually an extra base here for Carter Roth, who gets a fist pump and goes towards third base. David Dell there to greet him. The Mavs add 2 more runs. It is now 10-4. Evan Morrison, I'm sure all he can do at the plate is smile. He's got a chance to get Carter Roth through as well in a 10-4 ball game that started off as with the Mavs trailing 4-0 before they could even touch a bat. And now they put together 11 hits since that point. Foul off here from Evan Morrison on the first from Cranmer. Looks like the 57s do have a guy ready in the bullpen, but it seems as though they're going to let Cranmer finish this inning at least, and a strike to Morrison. He's a strike away from doing that. Cranmer. Long launch of the leg, and he'll miss wide. There hasn't been a lot inside for Cranmer. He seems to be working away from many batters, especially Morrison. Morrison fouls this one off, closer to the inside half that time around. Some guys on the mound, they have their systems. You don't want to get away from it. You don't want to try something that you don't know works. Cranmer, other side of the plate, and he gets Morrison to swing. And that will do it for the inning. But how about that, Medicine Hat? 5 runs on the board, a 10-4 lead here for the Mavericks as they are taking it to the 57s. Their best inning in a long time. They needed a big one, and they put it up right here in the 4th. So I promised the scores around the league from the rest of the WCBL after, of course, the conclusion of the 4th inning, and we got them right here for you. Started off with the Saskatoon Berries, who were playing a cross-division game against the Energy City Cactus Rats up at their ballpark, close to Edmonton, of course, Spruce Grove. It is 16-5 for the Berries, who took it to the Cactus Rats yesterday. Same results starting to formulate here today. That game already in the top of the 8th. Not sure when it started, but moving quickly regardless. It is a 5-0 lead over in Lethbridge at Spitz Stadium for the Okotoks Dogs. Of course, you know what's happening here. Down in Weyburn, the other divisional battle in the East between the Red Sox and Beavers, a 3-1 lead for the Regina Red Sox in the bottom of the 4th. Weyburn trying to get it done at home, and they added 2 All-Stars to their roster today. 2-time All-Star Ryan Muselar, 2-time All-Star Noah Brooks. They are poised to get into the postseason, but trailing today. And the Sylvan Lake Gulls with a 4-3 lead over the Fort Mac Giants. And Kyle Froelich added back to their roster, a guy who had one of the lowest ERAs 2 seasons ago. That's an addition to their starting rotation that will prove well. First pitch of the inning for Cody Myers is a ball. He sees Jake Hiramoto. This is when you want Hiramoto in a spot where nobody's on. Here's Frankie Giacalone turning on the burners, and it's just too far into foul territory. That would have been a play for the books if he would have been able to wrap that up. Instead, it'll be a 1-1 look here to Hiramoto. Mentioned in a couple games ago that there was a beer tower being made below, and it looks like that tradition is continuing here at Athletic Park. We've got 2 of them going on the right side at this moment. Fans enjoying the night out there, especially in ground level. Myers. 1-1 to Hiramoto. Ground ball slipping was Nick Hill, and I don't think he would have gotten to it anyways. It is a base hit for Hiramoto as he's to first. So Hiramoto, the best hitter on the 57s. He's been their guy all year round, hitting in that 3 spot, and he's got a hit here to show for it. 1 on to begin the 5th here for the 57s. They need to collect some runs now. We saw the pushback from the Mavs after going down. Do the men in orange have one of those today? They're rocking the jail look. That's the only way I can put it. We've seen the orange with orange pants as well. And honestly, that's a fashion disaster. I'm not one to pick on anybody's outfits or go after anybody for wearing anything crazy, but orange on orange, are you kidding me? That's a bit of a weird look. Myers. Ground ball over towards Volcano. Could be 2. Fading away. Wrote to first. And not in time. Running well down the line was Mace Wheeler. And, catchers get a bad rap. They can't move as well. Maybe they're not as fleet of foot. But Mace Wheeler, he can sure move. And he gets to first in a hurry. And he negates the double play opportunity for the Mavs. Now just 1 out here in the top half of the 6th. Apologies, top half of the 5th. I'm not sure why I'm reading the score clock to my right instead of the one that's officially up here in the house. Here's a bouncing ball off the top of the netting and an easy base to take there for Mace Wheeler. Runner into scoring position for the 57s, and the Mavs have some action in their bullpen now. Can't exactly see who's warming up. I know it's a right-handed pitcher, so that removes Beck Button and Danny Retzlaff, who pitched a night ago, from the equation. Retzlaff would have been out of that no matter what. Myers on the way. This one fouled wide. Jake Steffes making another plate appearance here. So far, Steffes 2 at-bats. He's got 1 hit and 1 run and an RBI to his name. Grudelaar saw something. He ran out immediately to look to Myers, and maybe an adjustment in the game plan here against Steffes. Keegan Noller waiting over on deck. The 57s would love to get him an opportunity with 2 guys on. One's not a bad look either, but base runners and Keegan Noller usually go well together. Pitches low in the dirt to Steffes as he holds off. 8 hits for the 57s in this game, just 4 runs to go alongside it. The Mavs now leading in both runs and hits. The 2 errors, costly so far for the 57s as well. You think about an extra run that came in the last because of an errant throw. Myers on the way. Steffes jammed as he fouls it off. It's 2-2. Oh, and it knocked over the beer towers down below. What are the odds? It got both. It's like when you're bowling and you got pins on the outside and you knock one and it hits the other. A bit of a double doink, or Granny's tea, I think they refer to that as. Granny's teeth? That's what I've heard in the past. But anyways, the fun being knocked down below. Come on, Cody. And I guess come on, Jake Steffes as well, who fouled off the pitch. Steffes, this time, puts it into flight. Too far for Giacalone. He'll hang around. You can see Steffes having a word maybe there with Cody Myers. It's always fun when you can have a little bit of banter in between an at-bat, and all good fun out there for both guys. Myers shaking off a plethora of pitches. And now he gets what he wants against Steffes with 1 on. High pitch. You could see that get away from Myers right out of the hand, and now it's a full count. Looks like at least one stall is building their tower back up. I won't solely focus on that, but it is a part of the game away from the game. Myers, Steffes, high fly ball out to right field, right towards the burnt area. Stark takes it, no chance to run for second, and backing right off. A good throw from Stark into Volcano as well. Having to have a watch on that was Jake Hiramoto. So 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning. Keegan Noller, tonight's designated beer batter in-house. Noller, a swing and a miss on the first pitch, and the fans will get the claps going for that. Not that they have anything against Noller. They just want cheaper beer. I think that's understandable, right? We're not allowed to endorse that technically on the broadcast, but I'm just putting out what the facts are. Myers, second pitch to Noller, and another strike. Myers, a quick head shake. He's got the game plan dialed in right now on Noller. We'll see what he has for him next. Grudelaar is going to take off the helmet. Maybe some confusion between pitcher and catcher here. Almost looked like Grudelaar was telling Myers to back off. He didn't really step off the mound. And now he'll look back towards Noller. 0-2 situation, 2 outs, and a man on second. Pitch from Myers. Bouncer in the dirt. Good block there from Grudelaars. Only 3 passed balls this year for Jaziel Grudelaars. He's done a great job of catching for the Mavericks. One, two, loaded up to Noller. Myers on the way. Noller Good block there from Grudelars. He got a piece of the glove to it. And now it's 2-2 to Noller. Noller, a tall figure at the plate. He's got all the makings of a home run hitter, and obviously he's proven he can do that. Myers, one strike away from getting out of the top of the fifth here. Myers, the pitch on the way to Noller. And he's down looking. So the fans get cheap beer. Myers gets a strikeout and a fourth consecutive 0 to go. He strikes out Keegan Noller, one of the league's top power hitters, and a runner stranded for the 57s who are playing from behind still. The tally is 6, and Myers has done his job after a shaky first.
For more than 40 years, we've been there, helping Canadians find the extra space they need to grow and to create new memories. Sentinel Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
For a century, we've been more than just lawyers. We're your neighbors, your friends, and your strongest advocates. With locations across the prairies, we're everywhere you are. Stringham, your local lawyers.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Nick Hill led off the last inning. Why not do it again here? It was a home run in his leadoff at bat in the the bottom half of the fourth inning. Man, innings are hard. Having trouble with that today. A new pitcher on the mound for the Swift Current 57s. We'll get you a name, a number, and a resume in a moment. First pitch towards Nick Hill is going to be wide for ball one here in the bottom of the fifth. See, at least I can get that right. I know where we are right now. Hill just missing on that one. You could tell he was looking to pull that into left field again. He loves that side of the park. And I saw somebody over there looking for baseballs in bushes yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder how many of those are Nick Hill's. I would say a majority. He had a big bag of them, so collecting souvenirs was that guy. And maybe a souvenir in center field here for Hudson Unger, a pop-up from Nick Hill, and that is out number one. Here's Frankie Giacalone now with one down, and promised an introduction of our pitcher on the mound, and it is Logan Hammer, the Calgary, Alberta native, 3 hours down the road. Spent his year at Minnesota State Technical College. He makes his first appearance of the season at Athletic Park in Medicine Hat, so new environment. Let's see how he performs. He's a little bit closer to home, and he's back into Alberta. There's some guys that just pitch better in their home province, and Hammer, 1 for 1 so far with getting outs. Hammer pitches wide. Giacalone takes for ball one. Here's what the numbers say about Hammer so far this year. Just over 14 innings pitched, a 17.8 ERA, 14 walks to 7 strikeouts. I'm sure he would like to tidy up those numbers. Pitch down low from Hammer. Giacalone waiting tight at the plate. Giacalone a swing and a miss, so Hammer will work back. Lights coming on here in Medicine Hat. The night sky is still very bright. They come on at some weird times. Here's Giacalone, swing and a miss, and now it's 2-2. Guy like Logan Hammer, he's going to enjoy playing in Western Canada. Obviously grew up around these parts, so he understands what the WCBL is all about. But his goal just to play as long as he can and maybe reach pro if that's possible. Giacalone will foul this off. That's everybody's dream at some point throughout their baseball careers, but there's only a limited amount of guys that still feel that's possible in the WCBL. And really, there are only a few guys who get that opportunity to play pro ball at the highest level. Both these franchises have seen guys that have gone on to have careers in the majors and elsewhere. Ball taken here from Frankie Giacalone. Now he's got a full count. The last Maverick to reach the majors was Jacob Webb. He was a pitcher. There's never been a position player since at least 2009 that has made the majors for the Medicine Hat Mavericks. So since the WNBL really came into effect and stats were being kept. Pitch from Hammer, a swing and a miss, and he gets a strikeout to Giacalone for out number 2. Now up to the plate comes Johnny Volcano with 2 out and nobody on. It's a rare look for Volcano. He's had a lot of chances to come up to the plate with guys in front of him, chances to score a few, and he sent in a few base hits today, and it's been a positive showing overall for Johnny Volcano. Just one base hit, but the RBI to go with it, and some solid contact in that at-bat as he swings and misses. Volcano, 3 ABs on the day so far. Here's the 0-1 from Hammer. Spikes that wide. So 2 very different pitches from Logan Hammer, and the second one, no challenge and no thought to challenge from Volcano. Hammer, got away and luckily didn't hit Volcano in the process. Scoring update from Weyburn, it is now 5-1 in favor of the Regina Red Sox in the top of the 5th inning. A lot of the other games we can go through later in tonight, but I'll keep you periodically updated on what's happening specifically there because I know how much that means to obviously these 2 teams in this game. And you can flip between tabs, but it's just easier to hear it for some people. Here's a 3-1 look for Johnny Volcano against Hammer. Volcano looking to extend this inning here. It's been a short one so far, 2 up, 2 down from the Mavs. Volcano a swing and a miss, and now it's a full count look for Volcano. A step back onto the rubber for Hammer. Not as quick as Koufax Cranmer, but there's a good pace to Hammer on the bump. Volcano holding off, and he'll throw the bat aside and take first base. Job well done. You want to extend the inning? You get that from JV, who's over on first. Eric Calder, a home run in his last at-bat. A much-needed home run for Calder, who is very stoic at the plate. Simple approach, as we talked about, that kind of underwent some changes here, but he's gotten back to that solid foundational approach that he had gone through all season. He's done a good job of it today. He's rewarded with the home run. And now we'll see if Calder goes right back to it. It looks like he's back to his normal stance. Calder turns into that pitch. Didn't clip him, but he takes for ball 1. For Calder, just such a calm guy, easy to talk to, and once you get talking to him, you really won't stop. But Calder looks like more of a quieter guy from the outside. Always willing, though, to share his words of wisdom, and mentioned this in prior broadcasts, but thought he was going to be a hockey player for most of his life, and ended up making the transition to baseball. Nobody in his family was a baseball player. He really the first. Calder, another high one towards right field. You can forget about it. It's not there yet. It is now a long bomb for Eric Calder. Back-to-back home runs for the lefty, and the Mavs lead now 12-4. Have a day, Eric Calder. I mean, there's so many guys you could name player of the game, player of the week, whatever it may be, But Eric Calder's just happy to be back and to find his swing, and his teammates are pumped up for him again. You just look at the gathering near the dugout. What a day for Eric Calder. He doesn't need to do anything else. He's already accomplished what he wanted to, and both home runs going into right. That one an absolute no-doubter. I don't think it's landed yet. I'm still searching for it. It's hanging in the air. Hammer. First pitch to Blake Dale, and it just misses the outside part of the plate for ball one. That mojo that Eric Calder has right now is a positive sign. He's been in the lower half of the lineup recently. When he's been in the lineup, he's had some time to, stay out and get things figured out, and he's responded well. Now back to Hammer. Dale a swing and a miss. Something about those Ontario guys responding well. We talked about Trevor Sire yesterday on the mound. He had a really tough outing against the Lethbridge Bulls earlier. Came in yesterday, even in a losing effort, through 2 zeros. And that was a guy that was just working through it. And Eric Calder, the exact same. Both guys from down in the Ontario area. As that pitch misses to Blake Dale. James Tubb would be, if he was up here right now, he would just be talking up that spot. Of course, he from there as well. Hammer on the 3-1 to Dale, and it's a walk. And I'm not sure if this is going to warrant a mound visit. It might warrant somebody getting up in the bullpen. And I'm just watching the walk over right now from Cole Benjamin. Cole Benjamin, a redshirt sophomore this year. The guy who's born in Everett. He's just tossing the ball to himself right now. Maybe going to get something from his bag on the far side, or he could get stretching to get warmed up. One on here for Jaziel Grudelars. Whoa. And that one clipped him in the backside of the leg. Trying to shrug that off as Grudelars, but you can tell it hurt him. So Blake Dale over to second. Grudelars over to first, and he's going to take an extra long walk here to get readjusted. Things starting to slip away here from the 57s in the bottom of the fifth inning, and there was promise out the gate. But now there is some concern, and just judging on the body language down in their dugout, seems to be not as loose as it was before. And Devin Sawyer is calling upon one of his pitchers to go and get warmed up. First pitch to Josh Stark is a ball. And I talked about a second ago how Cole Benjamin was headed over there. That's not the guy that Sawyer has gone to here. Looks like it's Tanner De La Rosa who's getting the call up. High pitch to Stark for ball two. Even Stark was looking to that side to see who was getting ready. He typically does that in general. And the straight approach with the bat when he walks away. I had a long conversation about that yesterday. Oh, mound visit here. Mace Wheeler taking a long time to walk out, and that is a smart play from a guy who hasn't been in the league for very long, but he's played a lot of baseball, as all of these guys have. It's almost like in hockey, you see a guy pretending to skate fast to get down and force an icing. That might not make sense to those non-hockey fans, but it's a little bit of acting that comes with the game. You could see Wheeler's slower walk trying to buy time for a longer visit when he got to the mound. So we'll resume play now. Josh Stark. 2-0 count. Stark fouls that one off the top side of the bat. Stark, the only Maverick so far without a hit in the lineup. Carter Roth has 3 of them. Eric Calder and Frankie Giacalone both with 2 in this game. Those help make up the 12-hit total for the Mavs tonight. Stark would love to join the party. Shift being put on, and he's hit with a strike. Look at how far over the second baseman and Jake Steffes is playing. He's right beside first baseman Keegan Noller. And Stark can pull the ball, but he's shown that he can go anywhere with it as well. Stark lets that one trend outside. Now it's 3-2. The Mavericks have some action in their bullpen as well. Looks like it has quieted down. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cody Myers get one more part of the 6 at least. Low pitch to Stark, and it doesn't matter that he hasn't gotten a hit yet. He keeps reaching base, and he's off to first. The bases are loaded here in the 57s. They were under some pressure before. Well, now they are right in the bowl. Carter Roth, 3 hits tonight, 2 singles and a double, which was record-breaking. Heads to the plate, just 1 RBI. A chance to get a few of those here. Grudelar's over on second, Blake Dale at third, Josh Stark at first. First pitch is going to be low for ball 1. Head shake, and now back to Roth. Hammer. Nails down a strike there. It'll be 1-1. Not the night that Logan Hammer was hoping for. It's been a really disappointing outing here, as he's been the 3rd pitcher that the 57s have used. Here's the 1-1 to Roth. High, throw down to first. Stark has to get back, and they get him in time. So that's the 3rd out of the inning. The Mavs leave the bases loaded. They are still leading by a sizable margin, that at 8. They had a pair of runs in this inning, 7 runs in the last 2. And Ryan Reed has to be feeling good with where his bunch is at. He's going to have a quick chat with the home plate umpire. But a better day in the dugout, a better day overall, a good day to be a Mavs fan. The Mavs are turning to their ace in relief, and that is Derek Archer, who comes into the game. Archer probably expected to start sometime soon. I would think on the weekend at some point. But if they can get 1 to 2 innings in relief from Archer, that is a job well done. As there's still a bit of ways to go in this game. We're only in the 6th inning. It hasn't been a fast-moving game at all, and Derek Archer going to be tasked with doing what he does best, getting strikeouts, getting 3 quick outs, and he's getting close to the Mavs' all-time leading strikeout total for strikeouts in a season, set by Nathan Gonzalez with 70. Archer has 58. He can crawl into the 60 range here, which is an elusive club. Of course, he's just going to be hoping to get out of the inning with a low pitch count. Archer. First pitch. Not called a strike, and maybe a head scratcher there for Archer, who thought it was pretty good. He'll see Chance Crawford, then Adam Rowland, and Anthony Hector, the first 3 here for the 57s. Archer, down low, good block by Grudelars, and for a guy that always starts ahead in the count, this is a bit of a surprise to see him behind 2-0. Still lots of time to get adjusted here for Archer. Nobody warming up in the bullpen for Medicine Hat. there is some movement on the 57 side of things. Archer. He doesn't get the call there as well. A moving strike zone at the moment. And I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen Derek Archer throw a 3-0 count. I think that speaks to how impressive he's been this season. Of course, he has throughout his life, but his WCBL tenure has been near perfect. Archer, a 4-pitch walk to start the day. I mean, I'm as confused as you are watching that. And Chance Crawford's off to first base. Adam Rowland comes up to the plate. And now you can see the walk being made down to the bullpen. Looks like it could be Julian Picorni down there. He might just be digging off the mound. Cody Myers' day is done. We'll have the line for you on him in a second. Back to Archer. And that is 5 consecutive balls here from Derek Archer, who just really doesn't look himself on the mound right now. Some guys are different when they make a start, and when they come in relief, it can be the opposite as well. But Archer's had good relief appearances before. Archer now a high pitch and continue the total. That's 6 consecutive balls for Derek Archer, and he's going to head off the mound. You hope that it's not anything more than just an off day so far. This is a full infield conversation for the Mavericks. Well, we have a second. Cody Myers, the final look. 5 innings pitched, 8 hits given up. A majority of those in inning number 1 where he surrendered 5. 4 runs, all of them earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 82 pitches for Myers on the day. So he didn't reach the triple-digit total. And now could you use Myers in a relief appearance sometime way later on in the week before his next start? Maybe. Could be a factor. I'm not a pitching guru or anything. I just think it could be an option. 2-0 here from Archer. And finally he finds the strike zone. I'm sure he was just itching to get to that spot. Now we'll look back to Adam Rowland. Archer. Archer. Strike 2 and 2 now as he works back against Rowland. Mavs made a defensive change, and it looks like it is the WCBL debut for Dane Hepner. Hepner, I think, over in right field. That's the official substitution. We're just getting word of it up here now. Archer. Just getting a piece of that was Rowland. He'll stay alive. Of course, the roster deadline coming up here in the WCBL. Hepner has to get into at least one game before that time. Defensively, I believe it counts. He might have to register an at-bat in there as well, but plenty of game left to do that. Archer pitched low, and despite the count saying 2 and 2, it's a walk here to Adam Rowland, and it might be the first time this season that Derek Archer has walked back-to-back batters. I mean, at least I can't remember a time. This is a very different Derek Archer on the mound. Here comes Anthony Hector with 2 on. Archer kicks, deals. Hector, no swing. Hector has picked up a hit already tonight. A lot of guys on Swift Current have done that. says on the scorecard that he doesn't have one, but I swear he picked one up in his last at-bat. No, he's got to walk in this game, and here's a high one over towards right field. Hepner's going to watch it go all the way back, and gone! A 3-run home run for Anthony Hector, and the lead has changed here. The 57s get 3 back. It's now a 5-run game. It's 12-7 off the 3-run jack from Hector. I mean, I'm at a loss for words for Derek Archer on the mound. It's got to be somebody else out there right now. I've just never seen him work this way before. And Dane Hepner getting a rude awakening to what the WCBL life can be like. That one went over his head, and he had no play on it, of course. A home run, and you're not going to be able to catch it. First pitch here to Derek Archer, and you can see even he's confused on the mound. Night sky turning pink behind him. Some of those wildfires happening around, forcing the sky to look that way. There's a strike from Archer. Archer, a guy that rarely gets flustered, works pretty quickly. You just would not have expected, if you're Ryan Reed and company, that he would have given up 3 runs in this inning. Archer. Called strike at the very end there to Hudson Unger. Think about his last start. He worked into the 6th inning without giving up a hit. And now here in this one, he's given up 2 already. Archer, high pitch sails outside. It's 2-2 and still nobody out as well. Archer, leg kick, swing and a miss, and a wicked swing there from Unger. One where it looked like he was trying to fight off the pitch more than actually hit it into play, and first strikeout of the day for Derek Archer. So the DH, Zach Clow, heads into his first appearance against Archer. Can't lack confidence against any player, and the 57s have shown that against Archer. There's a swing and a miss on the first pitch from Clow. So Archer may be getting going here now. He's dealing with the bugs out there. You can see him fanning many of them away from his face. There's one pitcher warming up in the bullpen right now for Medicine Hat. Looks like that warming up is kind of stalled for at least this moment in time. Grudelar's dropped the ball, but it's called a strike. Oh, 0-2 here to the batter and Zach Clow. Jake Hiramoto waits on deck. Clow, a swing and a miss. He slipped out of the batter's box. The tag put on for Jazeel Grudelars, and officially a member of the 60K club is Derek Archer. There haven't been very many in Mavericks history to reach that milestone. Talked about Nathan Gonzalez, the only guy ever to reach the 70K club. And for Archer, some rare air. It's been a long time since a guy has reached the 60K club. And now he will look to make it 61 here against Jake Hiramoto. But Hiramoto, not an easy guy to strike out, so obviously easier said than done. First pitch to Hiramoto gets a swing and a miss. The last time a guy reached the 60K club was Dylan Esquivel in 2023, so it's been a few years. Before that, the only other 2 times that a guy had gotten there, 2016, Jared Libke, and 2010, as I mentioned before, Nathan Gonzalez. And a foul off from Hiramoto knocks the tower down below, and that gets some claps for those in the box. Hiramoto even took a peek over there and smiled towards the crowd. 0-2 here between Archer and Hiramoto. Archer, Hiramoto fouls that off, and out of the dugout this time to make the play again is Diego Centella, so that's 2 in a row from Centella in this game. A lot of these pitchers, former position players. I talked to Miguel De Jesus a couple days ago. He said he didn't really become a pitcher till he got into university. That's a little more rare. Archer. Oh, That is so close to being so good, and Hiramoto no swing. Home plate umpire no call. Jaziel Gerdelars removing his mask and asking how close it was. Archer, Hiramoto, line drive over to Volcano. He'll take it for himself, and that will conclude our top of the 6th inning. But it's Anthony Hector with the big fly over into right field, a 3-run home run, and it lessens the Mavericks' lead. It is now just 5 runs, 12-7, the official score as we head to our bottom half. We spoke about the playoff race extensively throughout this broadcast, but let's take a look about what it actually looks like in depth, and that is the strength of schedule. Everybody's always curious about it, so I've crunched the numbers for you. Here they are. Heading into tonight, this is what the layout looks like for all 4 teams that are in the hunt for the final 2 spots. The Regina Red Sox, they're going to face off against 9 opponents who have a below 500 record, 7 who are above 500. Weyburn, a pretty good look schedule-wise for them as well. 9 below 500 teams to 5 above. Swift Current and Medicine Hat, they have the opposite. They're going to play more teams that are above that mark and, have better records, are likely playoff teams. And I'll just go on to say they are playoff teams already. With good records, 8 for Swift Current, 7 for Medicine Hat. And in the below 500 category for both the 57s and Mavericks, you're looking at games against each other. They'll play 4 more times and a flyout to begin the inning here for Carter Roth. Didn't even give us a chance to get back to field level for the game as it's popped out over to first. It's the first time that Carter Roth has been sat down tonight, and the first time he sat down without at least a hit to his name. Here's Evan Morrison with 1 out. And Roth, a couple of words there for Nick Hill, who's sitting in the on-deck circle. Left-handed arm into the game for the Swift Current 57s. Talked about who it could be before with a few guys warming up. And they're going with Tanner De La Rosa, the Havre, Montana native. That's not too far from here. Pitch low to Evan Morrison. I remember back in the day, people used to talk about going to Havre to go shopping because it's so close to Canada. And when the dollar was better and more favorable, you go to Havre, you buy some things that would be cheaper on the reverse side of the border, and you come back up here. Pitch taken by Evan Morrison for a ball. It's De La Rosa from a community that's probably seen a lot of Canadians over the years. De La Rosa pitches low for a ball to Morrison. It's now 3-1. Despite growing up in Havre, it was Wenatchee Valley College that De La Rosa went to. That's not terribly far from Montana. I believe just a state over. De La Rosa. Morrison into flight. This one headed out to center field. Over the wall and gone. Evan Morrison charges that one forth, and the Mavs snag a run back. It's now 13-7. The home run derby was on Saturday, but both these teams participating in some of those festivities here. Nick Hill with a home run, Evan Morrison with one, Eric Calder with two, and of course Anthony Hector with one for the 57s. What is the tally at now? I think we're 5 or 6 home runs on the night. I think 5 is the official number between both groups. And if you came to watch the Big Fly, you've gotten a healthy serving. De La Rosa first pitch to Hill is high for ball 1. De La Rosa a higher ERA this season. But he says that he's a guy who's going to compete regardless of what the score is or the numbers are. He's going to give everything he has when he gets to the mound. That was really his first statement towards Swift Current fans about the type of pitcher he is and who he wants to become and be for this group. 2-0 here to Nick Hill. Hill, high pitch taken for a ball. De La Rosa kicks that one in for a strike. It's 3-0, so almost being given the green light to put one in the zone. De La Rosa doing that. Levi Tibbetts walking around in the Mavs bullpen. Can't tell. It looks like it's Miguel De Jesus, the other pitcher down there, as it's fouled aside by Hill. It's now 3-2. And once again, that tower down below knocked down. If you're hearing the cheering from outside of the broadcast booth, that's what it's all about. Otherwise, you just be clueless to what's going on. I got to fill you in a little bit. If you're wondering where exactly it's at, if you look to the bottom right corner of your screen, there's a guy in gray down there. That's where the building is going on. Here's Hill. Bounces that one off the mask of Mace Wheeler. De La Rosa receives back up on the mound. Wheeler, home plate umpire asking if he needed a second, and he's going to defer. De La Rosa on the way. Hill over towards short. Hector. He's going to throw that one over to first base, and it's out number 2 for the 57s. Anthony Hector has had himself a pretty good night so far. Talking with the 3 RBIs and the home run, but a walk earlier, and he's had some good plate approaches. No strikeouts yet for a guy whose batting average isn't as high, and the defense always pretty stellar over there at short. So here's Frankie Giacalone. 2 out and nobody on. First battle with De La Rosa on the night for Giacalone. First pitch to Giacalone, high for ball 1. De La Rosa, a shorter head shake this time. Not sure if that's an indication of the pitch, but it gets a swing from Giacalone. And he's going to check on Mace Wheeler there. You can see a little bat tap after the play. Wheeler is going to take a walk and maybe readjust his helmet while he's doing just that. And now Giacalone having a word with him. And just good sportsmanship all the way around for Frankie Giacalone. I'm not sure if he's caught in the past, but being a baseball player, you understand when you get hit with the ball, it is not only not fun, but it is very painful, and that's the understatement of the century. You hope for Wheeler he can shrug it off. We've seen a couple of guys get hit so far tonight, whether that's a hit by pitch or, being behind the plate and catching one being caught off guard. And now here's Giacalone who's going to limp this off. I felt like I spoke that into existence accidentally. Giacalone is going to make his rounds. I can remember back earlier in the season on the road, it was Johnny Volcano who fouled one off of his foot. And he used the bat pretty much to get all the way to the dugout. Of course, he's recovered well since, and he's been an everyday player for the Mavs. You hope that Jack Coloni can be the same. Obviously, had the three off days a little while ago, and Coach Ryan Reed hopes that he has no more the rest of the year. As that pitch misses from De La Rosa. 2-all to Jack Coloni. One more strike. De La Rosa moves on to the 7th. De La Rosa winds up. Jack Coloni lifts this one over towards left field. It's got a good track, and it bounces off the top of the wall. Oh, very close to tying the all-time home run mark for most in a season, and Jack Coloni instead has himself a double, his second extra base hit of the night. He was thinking about it too. You could tell just off the reaction. The fans thought it was gone, and even the body language in center field from Hudson Unger kind of showed that it was close. Instead, Unger plays it off the wall, almost gets it back into second base in time. And Jack Coloni will park up there. Johnny Volcano up to the dish. Got a feel for De La Rosa. You get a strike away from getting out, and then the journey continues here. You'll see Volcano with 2 outs. First pitch to Volcano is a strike. Volcano never had batting gloves in the past. Really the first Mavericks season that he's worn them, and it's helped his numbers increase. No swing there from Volcano. I'm not sure if that's a direct correlation, but it is a change that's been made, and he's had positive results after that change. So if you're wanting to make up conspiracies, that might be one of them, but who knows? It may actually have some merit. De La Rosa on the way. High pitch. No swing there from Johnny Volcano. De La Rosa, 2-1 with Jack Coloni at his back. Volcano, ground ball over towards first. Nolar's there. It's going to be a close play, and not in time. This time, Volcano wins the race, and he turns around with an emphatic fist pump, moving Jack Coloni over towards third base. And, you know, you got to find little things to celebrate about when it's been a long year. And for Johnny Volcano, you can tell that has been kind of bubbling up inside of him. He's wanted to celebrate things. They have not been there, and he gets, you know, a chance to give a fist pump and celebrate, and why not? Here's Eric Calder. Calder helped the Mavs get this 6-run lead intact. Of course, squandered after that. 3-run home run from Anthony Hector. And now Calder back up. 2 home runs in his last 2 at-bats. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen 3 in a row. I've seen 3 in a game before at Athletic Park. Ethan Menard with the Saskatoon Berries comes to mind. But 3 consecutive, that's a whole other monster. Calder. Pitch incoming from De La Rosa, and it's high, no swing from Calder again. Sometimes you just have a night that feels a little bit different, and every athlete needs one of those. That's why you keep playing sometimes, so you can reach that level again. Calder has been waiting, and he waits for the first strike of this at-bat here. And there it is from De La Rosa. No swing from Calder. Calder likely heading back to Tabor College next year, where he played his collegiate ball last. Calder, a very good season there. Describes himself as a gap-to-gap hitter. Might as well add power in there after what we've seen tonight. Stepping off is De La Rosa for a moment. Not sure if he was agitated by bugs or Johnny Volcano over at first. Either way, he'll take a second before seeing Calder again. Pitch to Calder, and it's going to hit the back of Eric Calder, and that one didn't feel good. So it has either been hit by pitch or home run for Eric Calder tonight. I'm sure he would take it knowing that, you know, the long ball is something he's craved for a while. But that can't feel good. Directly in the middle of the back, right down the spine. And Now the Mavericks have the bases loaded for Blake Dale. Dale, his first go-around against De La Rosa. And the righty on lefty look. It's not like Blake Dale has seen a lot of those this year. There's limited left-handed pitchers in the WCBL. Dale, first swing is a big one, and he swings and misses. I think a night batting in the 7th spot in the lineup for the Mavs has helped tremendously for Blake Dale. So far, he does just have the 1 hit, but the 2 walks just shows that he's seeing the ball a bit better without the extra added pressure. Dale, did he go? Didn't matter. It was a called strike at the plate. So 0-2. Good bounce back here from De La Rosa. He's fighting the bases loaded. Ground ball fouled off by Dale, and it's just wide. Just as maybe a bit of an understatement. It went to the net. De La Rosa will step off to the left side of the mound from our view. Some warming up going on in the 57's bullpen. This could be De La Rosa's last inning here in the bottom of the 6th. De La Rosa on the way. No offer from Blake Dale. After a fast game a night ago, this has been a pretty long one already. Local time, we're sitting at 9:11 p.m. And you think back to, the start of this game, it was a 6:45 start, right on time. Yesterday, we almost finished by 9:30. This game isn't even through the 6th. Here's the 1-2 from De La Rosa. Dale fouls it off. Too long for Keegan Noller to get to. That into the batting cage. The first one on the right-hand side. And I guess the left one out of the 2. Dale. Worked with the bases juiced again. De La Rosa, Dale, swing and a miss, and a strikeout for De La Rosa. A frustrated look for Blake Dale. The Mavs add 1 run, and it is via an Evan Morrison solo shot. It is now a 6-run ball game in the Mavs' favor. Mace Wheeler, the leadoff man. Miguel De Jesus, relieved a couple of nights ago, came in for just over an inning. He's back tonight. I talked to Miguel about his control at school this year. It was a struggle. He was open and honest about it, but it has improved drastically, and he was even showing me the numbers. He keeps tabs on his phone. For him, it's not about so much if he gets barreled or gets hit around, as long as he's in control of what he does, and I think that's been a massive improvement for him. De Jesus. Third pitch of the at-bat to Wheeler is high for ball 2. And speaking of barreled, I spoke with him and Levi Tibbetts, who have become really close friends on this Mavericks team. And after a game in Regina earlier this year, Tibbetts was telling me about Miguel's performance. He got hit up a whole bunch. And during that, for De Jesus, it was some weak contact hits that he gave up and pretty unlucky, at least in what the Mavericks pitching staff had told me. And watching the game, I'd probably concur that was correct. And after the game, Tibbetts went up to De Jesus and said, "You got barreled, man." And obviously that's not the case, so they always joke around about it regardless of the results. The numbers right now are reading a full count here to Mace Wheeler, as getting a strike back is De Jesus. He'll hold off walking Wheeler for at least one more pitch. He's hoping to get a strikeout. It'll be Wheeler, Steffes, and Noller to begin the inning for the 57s. Good foul off there for Wheeler. That was at the hands, and he'll just turn and flare it away. De Jesus loads up on the 3-2. Wheeler, another one fouled off. Long way to go for Nick Hill. Too far as it tracks off the base of the dugout deck on the left-hand side. And I don't mean Mavs dugout. It's actually called the dugout deck. There's 2 of them here at Athletic Park, and both down the left-hand side. Got the batting cages on the right, so 2 very different looks depending on where you are at Athletic Park. Not the biggest facility in the WCBL, but it's a grand one, and it's got some rich history. De Jesus. Wheeler goes the other way with a foul off now. A very competitive at-bat for Mace Wheeler, and Miguel De Jesus challenging him well, staying in the zone. Nobody warming up behind De Jesus. See how many innings the Mavericks can get out of him here. There's obviously 3 more in the game guaranteed. Here's Wheeler. Sharp one hit towards the left side. A long way over for Blake Dale. And it looks like no official word, but I think that Blake Dale made that catch. My goodness, a last-minute play. A drive-by for Dale, and it took a second for everybody in the park to notice whether he'd made the grab or not, and we get the official word at the very end. The umpire was even unsure. It is a far ways out there, and the white background makes it hard, but that is out one. Wow, what a play for Blake Dale in left field, and a big first out for Miguel De Jesus. You just never know. That ball was awfully tight in the air. It was going to have to be a bang-bang play. It wasn't going to take a dive from Dale, but he had to be on time, and he made it over his head. De Jesus spikes it wide. Ball 1 in the at-bat, 1-1 here as he faces off against Jake Steffes for the first time. Steffes has seen every pitcher that the Mavs have brought into this game. De Jesus. High pitch here to Steffes. Keegan Noller's waiting on deck. They'd love to get a base runner for Noller. Chip away at this lead, which is now at 6 for the Mavericks. And they've scored in each of their last 3 innings. The 57's 3 runs in their last inning that they were in. Here's De Jesus on the way, and just ticking that off the bat is Jake Steffes. De Jesus will juggle the ball around. And you have to give credit for the journey that De Jesus has been on. You just love that a guy has identified a problem and then continued to figure it out. And now he's gotten to the point where he's making it happen in game. DeJesus, ground ball, hotly hit over towards Carter Roth. He makes the play off the one hop, and that's out number 2. Miguel DeJesus, 2 up, 2 down to start the inning. Here comes Keegan Noller. So Noller, nobody on base, and that is a luxury here for the Mavericks. You'd hate to give him people on the base path, and that's what we talked about earlier in this game when Cody Myers was still pitching. Don't give the big fish on the 57 side anything to work with, and they've done a very good job of that. Here's DeJesus. First pitch in the at-bat to Noller. Goes down as a strike for Noller, who struck out earlier tonight, and the fans loved it, not because, as I said before, they were rooting against him, but it meant for cheaper beer. Noller 1 for 3 on the evening. DeJesus, high pop-up for Noller, going all the way to the left side, and that one is gone. Wow, what a shot for Keegan Noller as he celebrates on his way around second base. Clearing the score clock, sending the kids out there on a chase. And I don't know if I've seen one touch that high, but a pretty much no-doubter for Keegan Noller. This is now just a 5-run ball game, and not having base runners a little bit more important now as DeJesus gives up the solo shot. So with 1 run already here, it'll send to the plate Chance Crawford, the left-handed batter. Bit of a switch up on the look here for DeJesus. Got the first 2 batters out, couldn't get the third. This one fouled off. Long way to go for Nick Hill, too far as it's out of play. Crawford. Slow walk back into the batter's box. He's waiting for Nick Hill to get back into the field of play. DeJesus, the long lean over. 0-1 here to Crawford. Pitch is low right at the feet. DeJesus on the 1-1 now. Crawford frozen in time, and he's hit with a strike. Miguel DeJesus, a hockey player growing up. I mentioned that he was a position player for a lot of his career. And I asked him, I said, could you hit pretty well? He's like, oh, yeah. Back when I was in high school, hit very well. And he mentioned that he played third base for a majority of the time. Here's DeJesus now as a pitcher. He airmails that one high and wide. So 2-2. Grudelaars is going to check on the ball. But you got to feel like the fielding abilities for DeJesus are still pretty good if a ball does roll up his way. And you know, it's late in the game, but there's always time for James Tubb to return to the booth. James, thanks for joining us for the latter half of this game and what has been a pretty, tightly contested game with a lot of runs. It got away from the 57s at one point, and it does here. A strikeout for DeJesus to end the inning. You've been watching from the other side of things. You haven't been here at the game. You've been watching on the stream. What have you noticed so far from both these teams in what has been a slug-filled game?
I think just, you look at start with the Swift Current side because they led early and, they jumped. They pounced really on the road here as they try to get into a playoff spot. And, and then the Mavs really responded throughout. And just the game, I think, it's not done yet. They would have to close it out. But the response Ryan Reed wanted to see from his group after, 5 straight losses and especially last night going down 2 runs and, relatively early, and that somehow knocked the wind out of the sails for the Mavs. So for this one, not only to punch back in the first with 4 runs of their own, but to put up the big inning, to see the pitching they did to the start from Cody Myers, and just to see a guy like Eric Calder get 2 home runs is big, right? They're getting the hits they haven't got as of late, really up and down the lineup, and it's just a good response from what has been a lot of flatness kind of for the Mavs.
And yeah, you mentioned Ryan Reed talking a lot yesterday, and he was very vocal with his guys and open about the things needed to change, and they were not at the place that they wanted to be at, more so than even in past games. He said he let the emotion kind of go after yesterday's loss, and I think that's traveled well into today's game, and he was looking for a response. And obviously off the top of this game, Cody Myers didn't have his best, at least in the first inning, but it was the bats that battled back, and that's all he was looking forward to seeing at some point. And, it's a team that has not played well from behind, and just seeing that immediately probably flipped a switch in his mind and gave him a bit more comfort and solace as well.
I think so, and, he hopes, and I'm sure Mavs fans hope, it flips a switch in the lineup, that this is the game that's going to turn things around here. And, it's hard to say because there is other tough opponents ahead, and it's Friday in Moose Jaw. That starts, the stretch ahead in the last little stretch before postseason. But it's nothing but positives right now for what the Mavs have done here tonight. And, they can just build off this one and try to carry it through an off day tomorrow.
And before we get to Jaziel Grudelaars' at bat to start off the bottom of the seventh, I want to ask you about the lineup changes, because there was some big time moving around and switching of roles in this game. James, what did you think of the Mavs coming out with a completely different look to what we've seen?
I like it. I like Carter Roth in the leadoff spot. It's a guy who gets on more than he doesn't, and is able to single his way on or walk or go big fly.
And a short fly here for Jaziel Grudelaars, who sends in a base hit, and good start to the bottom of the seventh for the Mavs after a quick stretch.
It is, and just the bottom of the order has been a big part tonight, but the lineup changes as the final point. Blake Dale was doing really good at that spot, the 2-hole for a lot of the season. Struggling right now. You move him down to the 7th spot. He's got a hit today, and Evan Morrison in the 2-hole has a pair of hits. So it's put players maybe in more of a position to succeed, and they've done that here tonight.
And we need to preface this by saying it's not a knock on those guys. Certain players just play better in certain spots in the lineup, and they're more fit to be a hitter in this place or that place. We mentioned it a lot, but Micah Dvorak loved the 9-hole spot, and that's where he was his best. When he got moved up, the numbers dipped. When he was down, he was a fierce opponent. And so just finding where everybody can slot in well is important. And we have a new player slotting in here for the Mavs, Dane Hepner, who joined the roster today. Pretty sure he had essentially a tryout in the afternoon and then was signed onto the Mavs roster out of Lamar Community College. He's a Calgary native, and he's already played a little bit of right field defensively, but now officially a member of the Mavs roster, getting an at-bat.
And it's, you see it every year when the roster crunch comes down. I believe it's Saturday that teams scramble to get players in as quick as they can. And, we saw it last night with Regina.
Hepner will go to first base, so his first plate appearance in the WCBL results in a walk.
Or hit by, the OBP still climbs
yeah, I guess,
for the newest Mav. And this is where, that new lineup change pays off. It's Carter Roth, the leadoff spot. He comes up now with runners on first and second, nobody out. And, I think it's fair to say the Mavs' best hitter comes up to the plate now looking to do damage with runners, runners able to cross.
And to use the same kind of first part of that statement, I think it's also fair to say that throughout parts of this year, the Mavs have been tough to watch. That's putting it nicely. But when you get Carter Roth up at the top of the order, it's really easy to watch the Mavs because of what he does. And you begin your day on the right foot more times than not. And that's just a sweet thing to continue to view over and over again. High pitch to Roth here. It'll be 1-1. And it just builds confidence that can spread throughout the rest of the lineup. And I'm sure for him as well, when you got that title of leadoff guy and you've earned it like he has, I mean, it just seems a bit better. Comes the funky delivery pitch that will send wide with all the changes that have been made in the lineup. And I guess up here in the broadcast booth with the addition of James for this inning, we haven't got a chance to talk about our new arm. And there's some spin to the arm, that's for sure. Kind of I don't want to say awkward, but an interesting lower Darren O'Day delivery. I know that's a deep cut, but that's the only guy I could think of. I'm trying to get a number on who it is on the mound.
Looks like it's Chase Cummings for the 57s.
And Cummings was with the team last year. Didn't pitch a whole bunch. And he's back for the last half of this year. Wasn't with the team at the start. Here's one grounded foul by Roth, and it'll remain 2-2.
We've seen a lot throughout this year, Trim, in the last kind of point of the lineup of Carter Roth would come up. It's early in the game. It's the second inning. He leads off that inning, and, sometimes it get on, and that could get stranded, right? So it doesn't, you're in a good spot now of Roth gets to lead off the game, and he gets to set the tone, and, the Mavs will as they have all year, go with where Roth goes.
And Roth, the deflection to right field, playing in right field and making the play is Chance Crawford. In some other scenarios, that ends up being a base hit, but good positioning there from Crawford. If you have to play deeper because of the look on the base path, it probably gets down and there's runs coming in to score.
Just hung up enough, really, for Crawford to get underneath that one and steal the hit from Roth.
Evan Morrison, a solo shot in his last at-bat. He's a part of now 6 home runs that have been sent over in this game. Ooh, and that one clips the backside of Morrison, so he'll take first base. And now comes to the plate Nick Hill. Just the one out here for Cummings on the mound. And I'm sure I'm the only one that's going to do anything with this information, but if you've watched a lot of WCBL baseball and you're tuning in, Dallas Cummings, the former Brooks Bomber, no relation to Chase Cummings on the mound. Very speedy outfielder was Dallas Cummings. I loved the footwork back in the day. He was fun to watch. Cummings tying up Nick Hill there. You see Jaziel Grudelaars, he was almost at home plate after that swing.
He's aggressive running down there. He wants to try to put the Mavs ahead by more than 5.
I'm not sure what was more aggressive, that lead towards home plate or the bat throw in the first inning after he got on via a walk.
He really liked that walk.
Hill. You just feel for Nick Hill. It is right there. It's hanging in front of you. He just hasn't been able to make good contact yet off of Cummings.
It's funky, right? The delivery, and as you mentioned, more sidearm. Darren O'Day, Joe Smith, another sidearmer from the MLB, and some guys just pick that up better. And whether it's a off-speed pitch or a fastball, it looks very different coming from below.
Cummings clutches just low. The first ball in the count here to Nick Hill.
The lineup changes. You wondered maybe if Frankie Giacalone would stay in the 3 spot, but Nick Hill, the tear that he's been on, it's a good spot for him.
Hill scoops this one to third base, and the hop is foul. The only reason I don't question it as much, James, is because Ryan Reed knows his guys. Like, they're his Mac U guys. He's seen them play, and he knows where they fit in. So putting Nick Hill in the 3 spot and Frankie Giacalone in the 4, I'm sure that's something that Mac U utilized, and he wants to bring that same flavor to this lineup. Cummings. Hill pops this one up right field. Busy day over there for Chance Crawford, and he will make the grab. Runner will tag up, and Grudelaars come in to score. Roth's headed for third, or rather that was Hepner, and he gets tagged but not out. The call is safe. That was a close one down the line. Hepner reaching out for the bag and stealing it.
Showing, off for his new coaching staff what he can do, and he moves up to third on that one, and Jaziel Grudelaars runs home pretty fast there, and Crawford kind of wasn't able to get underneath it enough to set up for a throw. I think if he's able to run into that one, it's a little closer at third, but alas, Mavs now up by 6.
And speed, it's been in hibernation for the Mavericks for a majority of this season. So you think about a player in Hepner who can run that well. It's maybe one of those missing pieces in the lineup that the Mavericks have been hoping to get for a while. 1-0 here to Giacalone as he takes a ball from Cummings. Cummings giving up his first run in his appearance. Now the Mavericks have scored, dating back now, I guess that's 4 consecutive innings with numbers on the board. What a performance today. There's only one inning that shows 0 on the score clock, and that was the 3rd for Medicine Hat. I think it was a 1-2-3 inning put together by Koufax Cranmer at that point, if I can remember. But that's going to be the difference maker. If you could score in every inning, you win most ball games.
And it's something the Mavs have seen work the other way, where they've almost allowed a run in each inning, and that just creates a ball rolling downhill that's hard to catch up to.
Pitch rolls outside. You can see trying to get back into his motion there was Cummings. He knew he missed it. And now it's 2-1 with runners on the corners for Frankie Giacalone. Giacalone spikes this towards right field. Crawford is in. Did he make the grab? He did not. So across comes Hepner. Over towards third base goes Morrison. Giacalone with an RBI single. I believe that will be the call. Shouldn't be an error. And the Mavs, their hit total continues to climb now at 17, and their lead now reads 15-8.
That's a nice piece of hitting by Giacalone. Just gets a little inside on him, and he's able to spray it into right field there, just out of the reach from Crawford, and it gets down and back again. Runners on the corners for the Mavs.
Johnny Volcano, he'll try and make things happen with 2 outs in the bottom of 7. Volcano slips out of the way, takes for ball 1. Volcano 2 for 4 on the night. It's been a vintage Volcano performance here. Cummings just misses the strike zone. He's riding that outside half of the plate. Just moved away at the last second. It's 2-0. Not a long lead for Giacalone at first. He doesn't need one in this case. And if you're not chasing outside right now, it's going to be really hard for at least Chase Cummings on the mound. See a couple of pitches that just have not fallen his way, and it's because he's turning them over a little too much. Cummings. That's in the heart of the plate. Volcano looked a little frustrated that he didn't swing.
Yeah, or maybe he was hoping it drops down a little bit, but I've liked how Johnny Volcano's handled this at bat. You want to add on, you want to tally up some more runs, and you can only take what's pitched at you.
And Volcano, ball taken by Keegan Noller for the out, and that will end the inning. Medicine Hat, 2 runs to add to their long tally. It spans all the way back towards the 3rd inning. What a streak they have been on in the scoring department. And they're looking to bring it home here. 2 more innings to play. At least that's what we know for now here from AP. We'll be back on Flow Sports with more. It is desperate times here for the Swift Current 57s, who don't want to drop further down the standings in the Eastern Division, fall further away from a playoff spot, and they need this game. It would take a big rally here down 7, and it has to start in the 8th. You can't leave it up all towards, obviously, the 9th inning. And beginning here is Adam Rowland. So the bottom of the order, which has done okay tonight, all things considered, for the 57s. Anthony Hector with a home run in his last at-bat. He's on deck. Rowland with a ground ball over to Volcano. Took a weird hop on him. A high throw. And the toe drag swag from Frankie Giacalone for out number 1.
If Frankie Giacalone wasn't a good baseball player, he could be a heck of a tight end. Just getting the toe taps in and, in the end zone or along the sidelines, but he does a good job holding on to that base and getting the out. And, a tough play that Johnny Volcano makes well of a bounce to his right, and he gets the throw across and gets bailed out a little bit by his first baseman there.
Frankie Giacalone, a former football player. I don't know what position he played, but he did say that he was on the gridiron at one point. Did Anthony Hector get hit here? It looks like it, and that bat took a beating as well. And I don't blame Hector. If you feel one here, you're obviously going to really feel it. He's off towards first base, and now he'll be guarded by Giacalone on that side. Julio Jones would be really proud of the footwork. I think of all-time great wide receivers that had, as I mentioned, toe drag swag. Julio Jones, the first that comes to mind. Miguel De Jesus. Pitch sails high. He'll now face the top of the order. It's Hudson Unger and then Zach Clow. It is go time. They want to load up the bases here for Jake Hiramoto. That's an ideal look for the 57s. Looking to prevent that is De Jesus. Swing and a miss. There's been a couple of wild swings, long swings in this game, specifically from Hudson Unger.
Yeah, De Jesus doing a good job of just keeping that one, far enough out of reach from Unger, not able to unleash, as you said, that big swing.
De Jesus is becoming more and more trusted by this Mavericks staff. You think about the last two games he's come into. And De Jesus, a late call for a strike against Unger, and he's ahead here 1-2.
Back-to-back breaking balls like that, now you can play around. You could maybe go to a third one or try to speed things up. And, you look at the long swing from Unger, you wonder how much he's able to shorten it here with 2 strikes.
De Jesus tried to go inside. Good block by Grudelars, who pounced on it, and it's 2-2. If you meet De Jesus away from obviously being on the diamond, a very quiet, soft-spoken guy, but a very funny guy at that, and he has lots of fun. Him and Levi Tibbetts, a duo in the bullpen, and they like to crack jokes and keep things light. De Jesus. The long lean over. It's become his trademark move on the mound. Runner going to go. De Jesus. And I'm not sure if that touched the bat. If it did, the runner will be sent back. I'm not seeing any indication that it did. So Hector will remain at second. That's going to be one of the few times where Jaziel Grudelars does not get to use his arm.
I wonder if maybe he crossed Grudelars up, just trying to make the throw down to second. Popped out and wasn't able to get a full hold on it, and you see it scamper off to his left.
Well, and they're going to check down at third base here to see if there was a foul off from Unger. And now back to Unger at the plate. De Jesus looking for one more strike. There's pressure at his back, a runner on second base. 57s need that run to come through. Strike 3 called to Unger. Putting that on hold is Miguel De Jesus, a big K there, and Grudelars and him will figure things out. A short chat, but not a lot to talk about after a strikeout like that.
No, I don't know if Unger was expecting, something a little more off speed and, just sat there on the fastball and watched it go by, and it's a big out for De Jesus. Now 2 outs, and you can almost forget about the runner on second. Just face here on Zach Clow.
He would love to hold Hiramoto until the next inning. Talked about it earlier tonight. The Mavs did that successfully once. Big swing and a miss here from Clow on the first pitch from De Jesus. Think about if the playoffs do come around this year for Medicine Hat or some big games down the stretch, De Jesus has now put his name into a different territory. And if he can get out of this inning, he's going to be a guy that they call on for one inning. They're not going to try and stay away from using him.
And you need that, right? There's only so many arms, and in the WCBL, it's hard for guys to go back to back. So you want to be able to stack up the arms you can deploy in playoffs, and guys that can get outs.
De Jesus, high pitch to Clow, he holds. And I would only assume that it's De Jesus' close friend in Levi Tibbetts who's warming up in the bullpen right now, and he'd be the guy to come in for inning number 9, and he leads the Mavs in saves, so it would indicate that he's probably the guy that they choose. De Jesus needs one more out before that point. Here comes the 1-1. A pop-up towards Frankie Giacalone. He heads to the dugout, towards the fence, leaning over, and it's just out of the reach of Giacalone's fingertips. There's only a few guys who can make that play, and you have to have a wingspan that's long enough. And for Giacalone, inches shy. DeJesus still only needs one more strike, though, with the foul off on that play, so there's a positive angle to look at it.
He has. He's worked himself ahead here in this at-bat, and, it's put himself in a good spot here to try to get out of this inning.
DeJesus. Runner on second. Lots of jumping. Here comes the pitch. Good diving play by Grudelars. And he'll hold the runner at second because of that. DeJesus might not work as quick as some of his counterparts, but it works for him, and that's what's important. You have to stay to your routine in these big moments. Here it comes from DeJesus. Runner going to go, and it's fouled away, so the runner and Hector will head back to second.
Cloud just getting enough of that one. It almost didn't look foul for a couple seconds. That you thought maybe it just banked off Grudelars, but with the glove that he has, you wouldn't expect that.
So Cloud gets another opportunity here at a 2-2 count with a runner on second base, a run that the 57s need to get through. DeJesus back into the rocking chair. Here's the 2-2. The pitch is high, dropped there by Grudelars. Such quick reflexes, obviously, are had by Jazeel Grudelars, and even a little play like that is valuable. So it's a 3-2 count to Miguel DeJesus. He got out of the last situation that was like this. Now another opportunity here against Zach Clout. Jake Hiramoto waits on deck, runner at second. Here comes the pitch, and it's high from DeJesus. And a throw down to second, and they are going to get Hector in a rundown. Hill diving out of the way was Hector, and they get the final out. So DeJesus with the walk, but it doesn't matter. Over-aggressive was Hector, and a costly play for the 57s.
That's huge for the Mavs. You don't want to have to face Jake Hiramoto with runners on here, especially two in this eighth inning. You get out of that with a blunder, and now you're in a good spot heading to the bottom of the inning.
A promising performance from Miguel DeJesus, capped off by a mistake by the 57s. Nick Hill with the final tag. We send it to break here from Athletic Park. We'll come back with our bottom half. So Zach Clow doing double duty here today. He's on to the mound now to pitch, and I got to say, the warm-up, the mechanics are really good. I don't know what the results are going to be, but I could see why they bring him in onto the mound in a game they're trying to hold on to. But it's a 7-run Mavericks lead, and Eric Calder, he has been a massive part of that. 2 home runs today, a slump breaker for the ages for Eric Calder.
Yeah, two different 2 home runs. There's a lot of words there. 2 home run, 2. Oh man,
tongue twister.
4 RBIs, 2 home runs. Do the math, and it's been working for him. First 2 pitches inside in this at bat, and finally gets a strike. There is Clo.
Clo loads up to Calder, and he gets the call there as well. Mace Wheeler's a really good catcher behind the plate, and some of the numbers, at least stealing wise, he's allowed players to get past so far this year. A couple of putouts, but it hasn't been typical Mace Wheeler. I got to say, the framing and the defensive work is really good for what he has to deal with. Control is maybe not the best asset for some of these Swift pitchers. Here's one into center field, and they are going to say that the ball dropped, so Eric Calder is over to first base. That is the second time we've seen a drop from a 57s player in recent innings. This time it was Hudson Unger who couldn't get to it in time.
Looked like it just landed in front of him or either in the glove, and he pushed it in front. And either way for Eric Calder, it's a really nice day at the plate for him, just to tally up another hits for him. I've got 3 right now for Calder, and that's just, as you said, a really good slump buster and a get-right kind of game.
Could be getting a post-game interview after the game.
I'd say so.
Blake Dale checks the swing. They're going to see if he went, and the appeal at first is confirmed. A swing for Dale. He's behind 0-1. Wow, those lights are beaming on. I'm not sure if they replaced the LEDs up there, but you'll be able to see wherever you are on the park right about now. Dale a swing and a miss as he sees a 0-2 count in front of his face, a familiar look.
Maybe it's just late July, Truman. Lights get a little bit brighter here as WCBL playoffs are on the horizon.
Clow. An interesting stance on the mound as he stretches forward, and a 3-pitch strikeout to Blake Dale as he gets him looking. I'm trying to think. There's a pitcher in the MLB who sets up that way on the mound. I can't think of who it is right now. I almost wanted to say, I can't remember his first name. His name was different mechanics, but Zember. I thought he used to start that way on the Jays, where his back is almost turned to the batter. Now, obviously, his delivery much funkier.
Adam Simber.
Adam Simber, that's who I'm thinking of. Did he not start with his back towards the batter?
A little bit, yeah. It looks kind of similar.
Pitch there is going to be ball 1 to Jaziel Grudelars. There's lots of left-handers that are that way. Josh Hader comes to mind.
David Price a little bit, too.
Ooh, that's a good pick. Clow, the 1-0 to Grudelars, quickly 2-0. Should give you an update on the Regina and Weyburn Fest. It is currently in the top of the 9th. The Red Sox with a 9-3 lead. They're going on a win streak again late in the season, James. It's just too predictable for the Red Sox.
It's something they're able to do. They find success late in the year, and obviously last year paid off with the title.
Grudelars pops this up. It's making its way towards left field, and over there to make the play is Adam Rowland. So that out number 2, Eric Calder, hangs out at first base. And Nate King, he's going to make his first plate appearance of the night. So Josh Stark, or no, this is not Nate King. They're playing his walk-up song. That one's not on me. They're playing a different walk-up song. And Dane Hepner, of course, with it being a new addition, doesn't have a walk-up song yet. So I guess they're just using Nate King's. But Hepner spending his season at Lamar Community College. We've seen a couple WCBL guys out of there. Hepner towards second base, stretching over, making the play is Jake Steffes, and that's out number 3. So hope remains intact here for the 57s, but they're down to their final 3 outs. And the closer for the Mavs, Levi Tibbetts, makes his way onto the diamond here, looking to finish out the game. top of 9, and I said Levi Tibbetts was coming in. He is still warming up, but Adam Volcano has been the selection here for the Mavericks. They had 2 guys. I probably jumped the gun. Volcano, he's good in a 1-inning sample size, and there's a reason he probably wasn't batting in the game today, so that they could bring him in pitcher's form. Of course, Zach Clow has done both, but Adam Volcano, when he isn't playing, that's when he can really, get on the mound and make an impact for Medicine Hat. He's got strikeout stuff up there. Second pitch for Volcano is a strike to Jake Hiramoto. He disagrees with the call, and it's 1-1.
It's been maybe a surprise from Volcano, and a really pleasant one this year of how well he's worked on the mound and how he's been able to be both, efficient as in the lineup and also on the mound, and had a lot of success on both sides.
Pitch inside to Hiramoto. He gets hit on the hand, and he'll head towards first base. And if the rally's going to begin, that's one way to start it. Get your first guy on, Jake Hiramoto, over to first, and that'll send to the plate Mace Wheeler. So here's the look right now for the 57s. Their upcoming games mentioned the strength of schedule. I guess we'll talk about the Mavs first. They got an off day tomorrow. They'll see Moose Jaw at Ross Wells on Friday, and then back for 2 against Weyburn Saturday, Sunday. It's got to be the series of the year for Medicine Hat, is them and Weyburn duking it out for a playoff spot. Mentioned who Weyburn added today. Obviously, Ryan Musilar and Noah Brooks. I mean, if you wanted an upgrade, that's more than just an upgrade. That's a team-changing, needle-moving 2 acquisitions.
It is, and as you said, series really of the year for the Mavs as they try to hold off the Beavers and climb back into that 4th spot.
Here's a high ball over towards right field. Turning back is Hepner at the wall, and it is gone. Waiting a little extra longer at the plate was Mace Wheeler, and the 57s get 2 back late in the game. Does that change the approach on the mound now? It looks like Levi Tibbetts is back up and warming. And the rally begins here for the 57s. They do trail by 5, but that's an important 2 runs, and there's still nobody out here.
It's the start you would want if you're Swift Current. You couldn't get, the big man, Jake Hiramoto, couldn't swing, gets hit by a pitch, and it's Mace Wheeler takes over from there, and 2-run home run, and 5 runs is doable. And if you're the Mavs, you want to try to work around that as quick as you can to get out of this.
Adam Volcano, a high pitch here to Jake Steffes for ball 1. Volcano kicks, deals, and another high pitch to Steffes. This has been the Mavericks' crutch right here. They get to the 9th inning with a big lead, and everything seems to go wrong. And you have to build confidence somehow. I think even giving up those 2 runs could be important, that the Mavs can stay settled in after giving up a few if they are able to hang on, but they're still a ways away. 3 outs, a big margin to still get.
It is, and I liked the move, and I still do like the move of bringing on Volcano in. It's at the time it was a bigger lead and 7-run lead, and you want to preserve the Levi Tibbetts innings if you can. And as Volcano gets a strike 2 there, but you still have that waiting in the wings. If things get a little more tense here for the Mavs, they can still go to the big arm.
2-2 here between Volcano and Steffes. Adam looking for his first out of the inning. Here comes the pitch. Steffes holds off. Full count look now. I'm not saying that I'm not an Adam Volcano fan, because I am. I'm a bigger fan of who he is as a person too, because he's just got tons of life, a great player as well. But James, I think you might lead the Adam Volcano fan club with your support for him on this broadcast. Here's the 3-2 from Volcano. Steffes fouls it back.
Really the Volcano brothers, Adam and Johnny, have been here since, it was that 2023 summer was their first year, and Adam joined, and I would say it was after the deadline that comes Saturday, so he was ineligible for the playoffs, but it was a spark plug really for the Mavs that season and the next before he broke in as full-time last year, on the roster full-time last year, and he's been a big part really of the energy from this group.
It is a walk here to Jake Steffes, and Ryan Reed's going to come out immediately. I think he was hoping to preserve Levi Tibbetts for another day. That day has now become 2-day, and I don't think this will be a conversation. I believe Adam Volcano will likely be coming out of this game unless something crazy happens. Keegan Noller coming up to the plate. What a situation here for the 57s who could just continue to pluck away.
I think, we see Ryan Reed walking off, no signal. I wonder if it's just relaying, what they've seen against Noller, how to throw to Noller, and, how to try to work around one of the Swift Current 57's best hitters here. And, there is still a 5-run lead. If, the worst comes to fruition and it's a 2-run home run from Noller, there's still a 3-run lead. Then you go to Tibbetts, what is then a save opportunity, and, try to preserve the win.
It's easy to speak from a fan's perspective or an outside perspective, James, and I'll ask you in a minute here. First pitch from Volcano is a ball. Do you think the players feel like it's a 5-run lead right now with everything they've been through this year?
That's a tough one. Swift Current's been able to chip away, scoring in 3 straight innings, but I think, you have to have the confidence, and we've heard the players talk about all the confidence they have as Volcano responds there with the strike. I would say they would still look at it and go 5, and they have some room, but they don't want to they don't want to make it any closer than it is.
Volcano, nearly hit Noller, a back scratcher. Is there a point when that changes score wise?
Maybe 1 run. I don't know. It is tough. I think maybe if it was Tibbetts on the mound, it'd be a little different. There's a lot of respect for Adam Volcano and what he's able to do as position and pitcher, but it would be a little different if it was the full-time closer coming in.
Volcano misses again. It's 3-1. See Volcano going to slow his roll here a bit too. Maybe came out a little too fast, and his routine is that way in general, but I think he's just trying to hold back and get back to the basics. Noller, a swing and a miss. Now it's a full count.
It's for Volcano, it's tough. You just executed a really good pitch there, got a good swing and miss, and I've done it twice now in this at-bat. You're looking for a third or, hoping you get a ground ball at the minimum or a fly ball, even just an out.
3-2. Noller pops it backwards, and he'll stay alive. And the deeper that he works into a count, the more dangerous, obviously, any hitter can become. That's not what you want to see if you're Adam Volcano. You want to swing and a miss. One that's fouled off, you can deal with that. When it becomes a theme and a longer at-bat, then you start to question.
Then you're almost better to extend the zone and hope to get a swing and a miss and settle for a walk.
Noller, swing and a miss. Spoke it into existence. Maybe not extending the zone, James, but calling it right on cue, and that's the first out for the Mavericks. And now it sets up for a double play to end this game if a ground ball is what's offered up here by Chance Crawford.
It's a good response from Adam Volcano. You give up the big fly, another runner gets on, and you take on, an all-star in Keegan Noller and is able to get a swinging strikeout there. And, now you just got to settle in even more and try to get out of this.
First pitch to Chance Crawford, a swing and a foul off the side of his foot. He didn't seem to be fazed by it. I'm not sure if it maybe wasn't as close or if there was an index card's room in between, but Crawford is going to get right back to the batter's box and get going again against Adam Volcano. Volcano kicks a low one. And very patient here are the 57s. We talked about that with the Regina Red Sox when they were in town, not forcing at-bats, not trying to make the moment, just letting it come to you. And that's part of the reason why they're still alive in this inning.
They are. They're able to hang around and, wait for their pitch and at times.
Oh. And not his pitch on the mound. At least that's what Adam Volcano would be saying. Runner's going to get to second. Game now cannot end in a double play. Well, I guess it could.
Traditional double play.
That's pretty crazy. Traditional, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
We've seen some wacky base running. You never know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about how we ended off the top of the 8th inning. This ends in a 1-run game. Anthony Hector is going to be kicking himself tonight for that mistake. But there's a lot that goes into a game, not obviously just pinned on one moment. Crawford, 2-2 now. Volcano gets a foul off. Sorry, I'm laughing at the
the old
the effects being played here. 2 strikes, and I guess that's worthy of a sound effect. Volcano, 2-2. Here comes the pitch to Crawford. No swing. Leaning over it was Grudelars. I feel like this is a common theme with some WCBL pitchers, but the difference of what is in the zone or looks really close and what is way far out is easier to read for some of these hitters. I'm not sure if that's a decline in pitching or what that is, but it's noticeable in many at-bats. Volcano gets ready for the 3-2. Runner over at second base. Here comes the pitch. And a swing and a miss from Crawford. He's down on strikes. A gutsy K for Adam Volcano.
There's something with the way Adam Volcano is able to attack hitters that, he's going to throw a ball outside. And, we saw one go a little bit more outside, hit the backstop. But he's still able to get that swing and miss. He's able to entice them. And, in a full count, we've seen it twice now of getting the hitter to bite and to swing over top of it. And, it's worked him now into 2 outs here in the 9th.
So down to their final out are the 57s. Here comes Adam Rowland. Mavs looking to break a 5-game losing streak. And a long losing streak at home as well. We won't dive into the numbers. We'll focus on Volcano. First pitch is going to be high here to Adam Rowland. So a battle of the Adams, and Adam Volcano didn't look happy after that pitch on the mound. Maybe lost his footing.
I think just got away from him a little bit, obviously wanting to get a lot behind the fastball, but a little high.
Volcano, pop up towards right field. Long way to travel for Hepner and Volcano, and it's too far and out of play.
We've seen a lot. Dane Hepner looks really fast down the baselines. I don't think that would have been a lot for him to get to. He would have had to break on the pitch almost, and, it looks like an added speed weapon for the Mavs, and we talked a little bit about that after his first at-bat, but if he can come in and fill in the outfield or, just have to get onto the base pass like we saw, this is really dating back to 11 years old now, Dalton Pompey for the Blue Jays, and
wow,
what he was able to do. So it's just an added weapon now to the lineup for Ryan Reed.
I'll go prime Brett Gardner instead. Here goes Volcano on the 1-1. Oof, that's as close to the body as you can get. Rowland ducks away. And a good play there by Adam Rowland. Sometimes late in the game, when you're trying to put yourself into a good situation, you lean into it a little more. But it looked like a fairly conservative turn there from Rowland, playing the game how it should be played.
He wants to swing.
Volcano, the 2-1. And there is the swing from Rowland, and the 57s are down to their final strike here. Volcano will work with a 2-2 count, and that runner's still over at second base after the home run from Mace Wheeler. You add the extra 2 runs if you're the 57s. It looked almost promising when they got the next base runner on, but Adam Volcano, he has climbed back up. Can he find the top here? The 2-2 from Volcano, and it is a bit too high. And now another full count situation. He likes working the counts far.
He does. Maybe it's the added pressure. It just gets a little bit more juice in him, and, he gets another one here against Rowland, and be interesting to see if he gets that same off-speed low that we've seen a couple or one swing and miss on.
Volcano juices it into the zone. Strike 3 called. The Mavericks end their 5-game losing streak, and they get back on the right side of things, and they needed to. It is desperate times in the WCBL. Medicine Hat back of a playoff spot with Weyburn losing and potentially getting a loss tonight. They could hop right back into a position to be in a playoff space. And how about that? It has been a long week for Medicine Hat. These players, they've explained and been very open about how their team is going through it, and they finally get one to gel and get a game that is as close to complete as they've had recently, and a 5-run win over the Swift Current 57s.
It's a really good win for the Mavs, and, a losing streak that started before the All-Star break, carried through that, and, a couple of really tough losses the last few, and it's a rebound now, and, we've been talking for a while about when are things going to flip and running out of real estate with that, and it is just one win. It's against the, Swift Current 57s at the bottom of the East, still a up team in the playoff hunt, but now you get the chance to rebound from this, leave the ballpark a little happier, and try to carry it forward now with, it's 12 games left between them and the playoffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, use that joy. I know it's just one win, and James, I think we both felt, as I said, some of the pressure that these guys have put on themselves recently, but it's one that could turn into 2, 3, and 4, and we don't want to get too far ahead, but it's a start, and the Mavs look to get hot here. An off day tomorrow. They'll see Moose Jaw in Moose Jaw on Friday. We'll be back with you here on Saturday as the Mavs take on the Weyburn Beavers then. For James Tubb, myself, Truman Bartman, we say so long here on Flow Sports. Wow, they're not going to be happy with me for that one. Take care, everyone.